My younger sister is a genius lowly. At 13, she was admitted to a top-tier university. But I, her older brother, am a nobody, a mere companion student everyone looks down on. I only got into Xuaning Academy because of my sister's brilliance. Not only are my physical abilities poor, but my blood pressure and heart rate are so weak they're undetectable, like a dead man. But no one knows. It's this living dead constitution. My brother not only doesn't get hungry or tired, he can even absorb the energy crystals at a 100% rate, constantly strengthening himself. While other energy users have an absorption rate of less than 1%. One day in 2023, the abyssal void suddenly appeared in the museum. Zhong Yuan, a part-time docent, was on the verge of death, but unexpectedly, through the golden coffin exhibit, I witnessed my younger sister, who should have been in high school, transformed into a null energy warrior, and ultimately died protecting humanity. Zhong Yuan is now filled with regret, realizing only now that his always well-behaved and sensible younger sister was engaged in such dangerous work. When Zhong Yuan opened his eyes again, his soul had returned to his body from 4 years prior, after the car accident. In this life, to protect my younger sister, I resolutely chose to become her companion. But on the first day of school, the military training death waiver scared away half the students. They condemned the school for playing with lives. Only Zhong Yuan signed without hesitation, not only because he was already dead, but also because there was a chance to obtain a baleen whale during military training. But the baleen whale is the key to becoming a baleen wielder. Soon, Zhong Yuan's prowess also attracted the instructor's attention. Before departure, the instructor reminded everyone that they could use their wristwatches to call for help if they encountered danger. Besides location tracking, it can also emit high-frequency sound waves, to scare away lower-level monsters. However, once the sound waves are activated, it will accelerate power consumption. Having said that, he opened the portal. Those who are ready can head to the market. However, none of the students are willing to team up with the weak and frail Zhong Yuan. Not only that, he even realizes that someone has been keeping an eye on him. He knows that in harsh environments, survival is always most dangerous due to people's hearts. Thinking of this, Zhong Yuan urges Xiao Lu to shake off those people, but they don't run very far. He suddenly stopped. He saw a thick layer of ice on the ground. It seemed he had entered the frost serpent's territory. Sure enough, several large serpents were coiled in the trees. Zhong Yuan decisively pulled out his dagger, preparing for battle, but found the frost serpents were motionless like wood. At that moment, he suddenly understood. Frost snow serpents hunt by sensing heat. I'm a dead man, I have no body temperature. Dealing with them couldn't be easier. With that said, a few slashes ended them. Zhou Yuan picked up the frost snow serpent's corpse. He began to try absorbing it. Unexpectedly, he successfully absorbed all 4 of the frost snow serpent's abilities. He not only gained ice congealment, freezing objects within a certain range for 10 seconds, I even gained an adaptation to the frost snake's heat sensing. Of course, the most useful ability, the sea mouse's regenerative capacity, slowly repairs physical damage. And the strongest among the awakened, their absorption success rate is only 0.03%. As the number of frost snakes slain increased, Zhong Yuan also continuously leveled up. But soon, a group of people who had their eyes on him discovered his tracks. Looking at the frost snakes slain on the ground, they concluded that Zhong Yuan must have used wristwatch sound waves. This was the perfect opportunity. Faced with this group who didn't bother dealing with the monster, but were obsessed with robbing their classmates, Zhong Yuan also decided that he absolutely had to teach them a lesson. He then waved his hand, indicating that he hadn't had time to harvest yet. The baleen whales were still all among this group of dazed snakes. Shumu, however, flew into a rage. He firmly believed he had seen 4 dead snakes on his way here. Therefore, there must be at least 4 fake gold nuggets hidden in Central Plains. He could only feign helplessness again, explaining that he had tried to absorb them, but all his attempts failed, rendering them useless. At these words, Shumu instantly erupted in curses. They accused Zhong Yuan of being a wastrel. He dared to absorb energy without waiting for the instructor's guidance. If even a good-for-nothing like him can succeed, wouldn't energy absorbers be everywhere? Seeing this, Xu Mao ordered him to leave his wristwatch and knife, and get lost. Zhong Yuan nodded and bowed on the surface, but his feet deliberately and heavily stepped on the frost snake. Xu Mao, however, only focused on picking up the wristwatch. He was completely unaware of the awakened giant snake. Then he suddenly noticed that Zhong Yuan's wristwatch still had 95% battery power. An ominous feeling immediately welled up inside him. Could it be that Zhong Yuan hadn't used the wristwatch's sonic function at all? Then wouldn't these snakes discover in the next second that the frost snow serpent had surrounded them? Before they could react, 3 of them were fatally bitten by the giant snakes. Xu Mao hurriedly activated the sonic function on his wristwatch to repel the giant snakes. But the number of frost snow snakes was overwhelming, leaving them completely overwhelmed. Helpless, the 2 immediately chose to flee. Seeing the snakes about to attack, Xu Mao stabbed the blonde-haired man. As the blonde-haired man fell to the ground and was entangled by the frost snow snakes, Xu Mao escaped into the forest. Meanwhile, the Central Plains had once again fallen under the Frost Serpent's control. He picked up the knife on the ground. He decisively dealt with the snakes on the corpses, and absorbed all their baleen. Each baleen can randomly increase a skill level. But what puzzled Zhong Yuan was, Ning Bing had already upgraded to the Qin level, but his regeneration ability remained at the Huang level. He sensed a mysterious force hindering the improvement of his regenerative ability. To gain more thrills, Zhong Yuan immediately decided to go to the area beyond the map, and that was the Frost Snow Serpent King's habitat. Meanwhile, the instructor also learned about Shumao's actions through the wristwatch monitor. But what interested him more was why Zhong Yuan hadn't been attacked after entering the Frost Snow Serpent's territory. Such an inscrutable method is quite interesting. I immediately decided to thoroughly investigate the Central Plains. As soon as I stepped into the Serpent King's territory, the Central Plains suffered a fierce attack. Its speed was so fast that I had no chance to fight back. At this moment, I understood that unless I could restrict the Serpent King's speed, I would only be a lamb to be slaughtered. Just as the Serpent King was about to pounce again, baring its fangs, Zhong Yuan, with a desperate effort, used the ice seal technique. Thankfully, the skill successfully froze the Serpent King's head. Seeing that it had temporarily lost its mobility, Zhong Yuan decisively leaped into the air, and unleashed another set of ice seal techniques around the Serpent King's body. In just a few seconds, a gigantic serpentine ice sculpture suddenly appeared before them. Although the ice would only last for 2 minutes, it was enough for Zhong Yuan to shatter it. With a clattering sound, the Serpent King was smashed into countless pieces. But what made Zhong Yuan uneasy was that the Serpent King didn't release any crystals. Sure enough, soon, the bits of flesh on the ground began to move, as if trying to recombine. Zhong Yuan immediately exerted all his strength, delivering a continuous barrage of punches, until the colossal baleen whale burst forth. Truly worthy of the title Snake King, the baleen whale's size was a full 6 times that of a normal one. After absorbing it, Zhong Yuan gained explosive power. The snow leopard can increase all abilities by 1,200% within 30 seconds, but there will be a 48-hour weakness period afterward. Zhong Yuan, satisfied, estimated that it was time to assemble, but upon returning to the safe zone, he found only 2 instructors waiting for him. Before he could react, Feng Yuemo used shadow magic to subdue him. Feng Qin further questioned him about the death of Shu Mao and the others from the frost snake bites. Seeing Zhong Yuan remain silent, Feng Yumoku immediately punched him, sending him flying 10 meters away. However, it was this very strike that allowed Zhong Yuan to escape the range of the shadow control technique. He then began to engage them from a safe distance. Seeing that Zhong Yuan still hadn't used his ultimate move to break the ice serpent spell, Feng Qin deliberately provoked him. "You're dead. Your sister is my sister." These words. Zhong Yuan, the charming maniac, immediately flew into a rage. Countless ice crystals swirled around Zhong Yuan. Several ice domains instantly attacked the two. The power of the blizzard was truly terrifying. Feng Yuemo was instantly frozen into an ice sculpture. Although Feng Qin used healing magic to defend, after briefly recovering, she was still frozen solid by the persistent low temperature. Just as Zhong Yuan was preparing to deliver the final blow to the two, he unexpectedly found that the snow leopard had expended too much energy, and he himself collapsed from exhaustion of his spiritual energy. When he opened his eyes again, he was already in a hospital ward. The fact that Zhong Yuan, who had no pulse or heartbeat, was able to wake up, was truly considered a medical miracle by the doctors. The confirmation of his living dead status did not arouse suspicion. Zhong Yuan finally breathed a sigh of relief. Feng Qin formally introduced herself to Zhong Yuan. "Hello, I'm the student council president, a third-year student. Feng Qin deliberately provoked you earlier. It was all a test. I hope you'll join the student council. Everyone looks down on you, a companion student. But you alone enjoy a 500 square meter villa, first floor training ground, with all 72 types of weapons available. Second floor living area, seeds, drinks, mineral water, everything you could want. Even upperclassmen on the virtual energy ranking list are willing to be his sparring partners, just so he'll agree to join the student council." But what Feng Qin and Feng Yuemo didn't expect was, after 10 hours, Zhong Yuan had tortured them to the point of utter misery. Both of them were exhausted, but Zhong Yuan was still full of energy. He even kept urging them to continue, to escape the clutches. Feng Yuemo immediately offered the ghost hair Huan crystal. It could not only remove all mental control, but also provide immunity to all toxins. Its Furious Strike skill is also a kind of martial arts technique. This is undoubtedly more substantial than mastering a weapon for Zhong Yuan, who can absorb all baleen whales completely. It's undoubtedly more practical than mastering a weapon. Zhong Yuan's preferential treatment also caused dissatisfaction among other members of the student council. So, they secretly followed him while he was patrolling, but they clearly underestimated Zhong Yuan. Zhong Yuan, possessing perceptive abilities, quickly discovered their little maneuver. Turning around, he rebuked them. "Don't hide. Come out." 3 people arrogantly stepped forward. "Take off your uniform, and get out of the student council, then I'll let you go." Zhong Yuan sneered. You're overestimating yourself. The man opened his mouth and roared. A sonic wave, designed to cause mental shock, shot out. Unfortunately for him, Zhong Yuan was now immune to any form of mental control. With a backhand punch, he sent him flying 10 meters away. Before the man could land, another set of free-fighting techniques followed. Ultimately, he was beaten until he foamed at the mouth and collapsed. The boss's crane sound wave has never failed. What is this Central Plains man's background? Seeing that he was no match for him, the two younger brothers immediately carried the man away in a panic. Meanwhile, the brilliant young girl from Central Plains was also taken to the disciplinary office. Lin Dongliang was instructed to hand over the Fire Cloud King's Whale to him, but this left the instructor feeling uneasy. Using a king's whale for the first awakening, it's a bit too much reliance on Qinfu. With a flash of golden light, Zhonglan also sensed whether the crystal energy had consumed 20 years of her lifespan for absorption, etc. Zhonglan came out of the disciplinary office. He had already become a null. He couldn't wait to show off his abilities in the Central Plains. When Zhonglan learned about the student council incident, she decided to teach them another lesson for her brother. She immediately stopped the three of them, threatening them to hand over their phones. Get on the ground. And this is what you get. Zhonglan took the phone, grinning mischievously. She filmed the scene of the man's death. Then she used the man's phone to post it on her moments. She also asked her two younger brothers to forward it. Finally, she left swaggering and satisfied. In the infirmary, Lei Bo was tearfully accusing Zhong Yuan of his evil deeds to Feng Qin. But Feng Qin only wanted to figure out, did Zhong Yuan actually absorb all three of Guihao Huanshu's skills? But according to Lei Bo's description, he wasn't using a weapon at the time. It's impossible to determine whether he successfully absorbed the Furious Strike skill. Then he turned and left. Feng Qin came to Zhong Yuan's dorm, and showed him the young accumulator power ranking. She told him that the person ranked 68, Xianming, was actually Zhong Yuan. Xianming, what a ridiculous name. It's better to just call him Zhonger. Feng Qin quickly explained, forbidding any playful teasing. Gu is a name that he and Feng Yuemo racked their brains to come up with. It sounds like it has a powerful, awe-inspiring aura. But the Central Plains didn't buy it. They asked what use there was in being on this list. Feng Qin explained that it had no use whatsoever. Equipment, first place. Zhong Yuan was momentarily speechless. He was just about to kick him out, when Feng Qin quickly said she also brought weapons. Because it's been a long time since they sparred, she really wanted to be beaten up by Zhong Yuan. In all his life, this was the first time he'd heard someone say they wanted a beating. Zhong Yuan immediately agreed. Soon, in the training ground downstairs, Feng Qin was beaten to a pulp, but he lay on the ground, smiling foolishly. He muttered to himself, I succeeded. This guy actually managed to absorb the Furious Strike. Seeing this, Zhong Yuan said helplessly, the city hospital has a very good psychiatric ward. I suggest you go see a doctor. But Feng Qin continued talking to herself. Our Yuan has finally become successful. She's learned to use bladed weapons. Dad is so proud of you. Then she was kicked out the door. The boy and the school beauty played all night, survival game, in the canyon. After being discovered, he even tried to make his friend take the blame. Zhong Yuan stood by his good friend through thick and thin. A date at the fisherman's wharf. A helicopter suddenly appeared above the school beauty. Then, a beautiful girl threw down a ladder for him to climb up. Unexpectedly, as Zhong Yuan just stepped into the cabin, the girl threw herself directly into his arms. This completely baffled him. Hello, classmate. The girl instantly sensed something was wrong. She quickly pushed him away. Only then did I see clearly that this classmate in front of me, with a bewildered look on their face, was someone I didn't recognize at all. I instantly collapsed. He still didn't come in the end. I had set my heart on the bright moon. But alas, the bright moon shone on a ditch. Zhong Yuan quickly explained that his name was Xianming, and that he was a friend of Feng Yuemo. He sent those herbs directly to the school for me. But I didn't see the love letter in the package. So he had to come in person to thank me. The girl thought for a moment. Since he made Feng Yuemo, such a proud person, humble himself to ask her for medicine, it must have been a false alarm. Then this person in front of her must also be a very strong Suning user. She then asked about Zhong Yuan's strength. Zhong Yuan said his strength should be considered pretty good. It's the kind that can't be killed. Hearing this, the girl immediately told the captain to fly the plane to Shenangjia Fangjia at maximum speed. Zhong Yuan was completely dumbfounded. After being informed, he learned that they were a team of psionics called the War God Squad. Their purpose in coming was to ask Feng Yuemo to go with them to Shenangjia Fangjia. The team were poachers who had smuggled in from the lighthouse country. They had just arrived at Fangjia. Zhong Yuan used super sensing to detect a pack of wolves 900 meters away. They then found an opportunity to approach the wolves. A pack of wolves was seen circling a campfire, waiting for an opportunity. Seeing this, Zhong Yuan was about to go check it out. The female captain quickly stopped him. It's clearly a trap. There might even be poison. You're too reckless. Isn't that exactly what fell into their trap? But Zhong Yuan didn't care. I'm not afraid of poison. You just watch for the right moment to strike. Then he got up and walked straight towards the wolf pack. But after the wolf pack discovered him, they didn't attack. Instead, they howled at the sky. From this, it seems, the enemy must be nearby. Zhong Yuan uses super senses again. Sure enough, a few hundred meters away, two figures are rapidly approaching him. In that case, let's clear the area first. He instantly draws a short knife from his waist. He attacked the wolf pack. It only took him 25 seconds. He slaughtered more than a dozen wolves. The team members hiding nearby were shocked. He's too strong. But it looks like the enemy will arrive soon. We need to be ready to support him at any time. Before he could finish speaking, two whooshing sounds were heard. Zhong Yuan used his little flying knife technique. He accurately headshot the arriving enemies, killing them instantly. The three in the bushes were shocked again. Did you see how he did that? Don't talk about it. I didn't even notice the enemy approaching. I was hit by that kid. Then they walked to Zhong Yuan's side. Seeing the throwing knives in his hand, I was filled with questions. Such an obscure weapon. It's not even on the energy accumulator weapon procurement list. Could it be custom-made for him? This person is definitely not ordinary. I was thinking that when suddenly several figures approached from a distance. Judging by their attire, this hairstyle and skin tone, even a fool knows they're from the United States. I knew it. China would definitely send powerful psionics to intercept them. The blonde man at the head swaggered toward them. He then leered at the school beauty. I'm honored to see the beautiful Nkage again today. The school beauty listened to the blonde's poor Mandarin, looking disgusted. You're so bad. Your whole family is bad. At this time, someone in the team pointed at one of the poachers and shouted, Zhao Zheng, you traitor. You're actually in cahoots with poachers. China invested so much in training you, only to raise an ungrateful wretch. But that man, Zhao Zheng, didn't think so. Are you joking? Just because I refused to hand over my accumulated funds, he subjected me to all kinds of ruthless suppression, and even deprived me of resources and supplies. If I hadn't joined the Lighthouse Nation, I wouldn't have known that a null energy user could live so freely. However, before he could finish his sentence, he was struck in the forehead by a swiftly thrown knife. Hidden resentment in the northwest. The black man beside him quickly used his skills, intercepting the flying knives aimed at him midair. Zhong Yuan was somewhat shocked. He hadn't expected that these people could intercept his attack. He estimated their strength was far higher than he'd anticipated. The blonde man then picked up the fallen knives, and dismissively commented that they were good knives. Those who can wield a blade aren't necessarily good people, and they even resort to sneak attacks. Zhong Yuan, upon hearing this, his gaze resolute, declared, those who offend our Hua kingdom, though far away, will surely be punished. Those who betray our Hua kingdom, will surely die without a doubt. The support unit in the team sensed that war was about to break out, immediately used the enhanced ability. After feeling the blessing, Zhong Yuan gave him an approving glance. Then, while activating the ice congealing skill, he threw the flying knife again. The three lighthouse people were caught off guard by his sudden control and attack. Two of them died instantly. Only the blonde leader remains. This man not only broke free from Zhong Yuan's grip, but also deflected the flying knife he threw. His strength is not to be underestimated. Taking advantage of his moment of surprise, the blonde man, with lightning speed, landed a straight punch to Zhong Yuan's abdomen. The sudden attack sent Zhong Yuan flying tens of meters. Seeing this, the members, hurriedly stepping forward to help him up, and about to use healing magic, but after sighing, he discovered that Zhong Yuan had already stopped breathing and his heart had stopped. It seems he's already dead. The muscular man in the squad immediately flashed behind the blonde man, holding him tightly. Immediately, his teammates attacked him, but unexpectedly, the blonde man directly used a skill unique to the United States, transforming into a fire giant. Fierce flames erupted all around instantly. Even the weapons attacking him were instantly melted. Seeing this, the beautiful team captain gave instructions. Since physical attacks are ineffective, let's switch to magic. She then launched a psychic resonance. Enemies within 500 meters instantly fell into chaos. At this time, the fire giant clutched his head in pain, seeing them about to attack him. Instantly, he shifted into his second transformation. The surrounding flames intensified. Everyone shielded themselves with their hands. Zhong Yuan, who had just been lying on the ground behind them, told them to retreat immediately. He would handle this. Everyone looked confused. Wasn't he clearly dead just now? How did he suddenly revive? Zhong Yuan said he'd mentioned before that he couldn't die. Having said that, he walked straight towards the south of the fire. His teammates tried to dissuade him. Unexpectedly, he directly rebuked them sharply, saying they were only affecting his speed of drawing his sword. He told them to get as far away as possible. Seeing this, everyone could only leave quickly. He ran hard in the opposite direction. After his teammate was far away, Zhong Yuan immediately mobilized all his energy and unleashed ice blood. Seeing this, the flame giant was filled with excitement. So this is your true power. Good. Make your move. But Zhong Yuan only calmly said, I already have. The giant was instantly encased in a thick layer of ice and snow, returning to its original form. So, while the Central Plains initiated the ice blood storm, they also launched the heat blast sacrifice. You directly extracted the temperature from the air, using air pressure manipulation to make the air flow, directly creating a vacuum around the giant. In this way, without air to fuel it, the giant's flames naturally couldn't burn, and he never imagined until his death that he would be instantly killed by a seemingly ordinary high school student. His body instantly transformed into a fiery red baleen whale after his throat was severed. Zhong Yuan stepped forward and picked it up, approaching to observe it closely. Sure enough, even after death, a Suning user transforms into a baleen whale. But the academy kept this a secret to prevent Suning users from killing each other. If I were to take this baleen whale back or hand it in now, it'll definitely cause trouble. Let's just bury him. That'll be the end of it. He immediately dug a pit nearby and buried the baleen whale. Only then did he notice that the 2 bags left behind by the poachers were full of Mengmeng bear baleen whales. Mengmeng bear baleen whales possess a cuteness skill. Obtaining 1 increases personal charm to reduce the target's hostility. Zhong Yuan thought, so many skill paths. Maybe after upgrading, it'll become an overpowered skill. Randomly decided to absorb them all. You have acquired the cuteness skill. Cuteness ability increased. You have acquired the new ability, super cuteness. Permanently increases your charm. Using it will make the target lose hostility. Unlimited range. I didn't expect this ability to be so useless. I involuntarily blurted out a plant's name. Meanwhile, the team members observing from a distance saw the fire. They quickly went to check. They saw that Zhong Yuan was sitting beside it, watching the scenery unharmed. The beautiful team captain was overjoyed. She ran towards him with a happy skip, but didn't notice a stone and fell flat on her face. Zhong Yuan turned around and asked if the task was finished. Could she be sent back to school as soon as possible? If my sister doesn't see me, she'll definitely be angry. A tutor and the beautiful school bell went out overnight and didn't return. But the school not only didn't punish them, even the principal and the head of discipline had to line up to greet them. Zhong Yuan's group had just gotten off the helicopter when the principal rushed to greet them from afar, welcoming the War God Squad to Chengying Academy to guide their work. But the beautiful captain, while supporting Zhong Yuan, said they were just passing by. Simply dropping off your school's Xianming student on their way. These words caused the principal to look slightly embarrassed. Is this student from our school? I don't recognize him. Seeing this, the headmaster's assistant standing beside him quickly leaned in to explain. This person is the auditor Sheng who gained entry to Chengying Academy through his sister's connections. Sheng Yuan, the student council representative standing behind, had a dark expression. So he's a good-for-nothing who got into school through connections. I thought he had some real skills. So, beating up a classmate until they had to take a leave of absence recently, I guess that wasn't due to his own abilities either. Then he pointed at Zhong Yuan and challenged him loudly, you good-for-nothing. Today, I'll represent the student council and fight you one-on-one. Do you dare accept the challenge? But Zhong Yuan had exhausted his energy from fighting those people from the United States last night. He is currently in a weakened state. He remained unmoved, no matter how much the other party yelled. He firmly refused on the spot. After saying that, he wanted to return to the dormitory to rest. But Sheng Guanyi wouldn't let him off. He went up and grabbed Zhong Yuan's arm. The beautiful team captain, having witnessed Zhong Yuan's true strength, watched with amusement. But unexpectedly, the next second, Zhong Yuan was directly thrown over Sheng Guanyi's shoulder, and slammed hard onto the ground. Then he arrogantly declared that the guy was incredibly weak, not even as good as an ordinary person. Seeing Zhong Yuan lying stiffly on the ground like a dead fish, the beautiful team captain quickly rushed forward to help and treat him. His teammate was about to cast a healing spell on him, but the next second Zhong Yuan sat up by himself. Everyone was stunned. This guy wouldn't be trying to scam us, would he? But the beautiful team captain didn't care about that. She pointed at Sheng Guanyi's nose and demanded he apologize immediately. Then, she righteously declared that she and her team risked their lives to eliminate the bad guys. Rivers of blood flowed. But upon their return, they didn't even hear a word of thanks. I was even thrown over the shoulder. It's simply chilling. Seeing this, the principal hurriedly stepped in to mediate. He pressed down on Sheng Guanyi's head, urging him to apologize immediately. But this time, the captain wasn't happy. He himself had gotten into the school through connections. He actually had the nerve to expose someone else's shortcomings. This matter must be reported to my superiors today. I'll thoroughly rectify this school's atmosphere. Without waiting for their explanation, he directly supported Zhong Yuan and walked towards the dormitory. As soon as they reached the dormitory, Zhong Yuan opened the door to see Feng Qin giving him a devilish welcome. He was instantly startled. He quickly slammed the door shut, and declared that it must have been his way of opening the door that was wrong. Where did this beast come from? Feng Qin, having been given the cold shoulder, walked toward Zhong Yuan with a resentful expression. But she found her nemesis, Encage, standing beside him. Her face was filled with shock. Seeing that the two knew each other, Zhong Yuan didn't say anything more. He walked straight into the house. In the school cafeteria, Feng Qin and the Zhong Yuan siblings are eating. Not far away, someone is meticulously recording their every move in a small notebook. Just as Zhong Yuan is pulling his sister back to the dormitory, he is stopped by someone from behind. The person says he wants to treat them both to some mala tang at the school gate. Zhonglan, this girl, hearing about mala tang, is overjoyed. But Zhong Yuan, a devoted older brother, approaches with a dark expression and questions the man. You've been sneaking around the dining hall, following me and my sister for several days now. Are you trying to do something improper to my younger sister? The visitor quickly explained. He came for the Central Plains. Now it was the younger sister's turn to be unhappy. Stepping forward, she grabbed the classmate's shoulder and shook him violently. You actually dare to try something with my brother? Let me tell you, my brother is straight. My brother's future wife can only be from the Central Plains. I couldn't stand listening anymore. I grabbed my sister and ran towards the dorm, leaving that classmate bewildered, yelling behind us, that's not what I meant. I just wanted to get to know you two siblings. At this time, Feng Qin also caught up. He quietly said he wanted to eat mala tang too, asking if he could join us. But Zhong Yuan clearly didn't want to bring this foodie friend along. Directly refuse. Feng Qin quickly leaned closer and continued, the Shangwan Yi who beat him up this morning was punished to write a 10,000-word self-criticism. He might be looking for a chance to get revenge. It's better to bring myself along to provide backup. Unable to refuse. The three of them could only go together to the mala tang shop at the school gate. Zhong Yuan was ordering food with his sister, when he heard someone calling him from behind. Looking back, it was actually Xiaomei. She was 1,000% unhappy. It was all Meng Mengsheng's false alarm. This damned charm makes me the most dazzling person wherever I go. The three of them sat down opposite Xiaomei, without a word. Each of them had 800 thoughts in their minds, staring intently at Xiaomei. Xiaomei felt awkward under the constant gaze of three people and their 6 eyes. Zhonglan secretly asked Feng Qin, where did this person come from? Could she be another woman trying to hook up with my brother? Feng Qin explained that Xiaomei was China's strongest support. The only one who can buff her teammates to an invincible state with a 448% burden increase. She has more suitors than you could circle the school 30 times. Her sister scoffed in disbelief. Zhong Yuan affectionately stroked his little head, comforting him, wait until Lanlan grows up. Her suitors will surely outnumber you. Feng Qin leaned in and whispered to Zhong Yuan, it looks like she's looking for you. Could it be that you were peeking at her while she was showering? Zhong Yuan gave him a murderous glare. Figure it out yourself. Then he asked, what can I do for Xiaomei? Xiaomei said that the annual accumulator, University League is about to begin. She heard that the Central Plains team is very strong, so she sincerely invited him to join. Zhong Yuan refused without hesitation. Feng Qin, beside him, enjoyed the drama, adding fuel to the fire. Xiaomei was immediately speechless. He could only leave in a huff. After he left, the three of them instantly felt much more relaxed. Zhonglan even added 8 spoonfuls of chili to her spicy hot pot. But after taking a bite, she couldn't stop sticking out her tongue. Seeing this, Zhong Yuan immediately swapped bowls with his sister, taking hers that had no chili. He then drank his sister's spicy hot pot, soup and all, in one go. Feng Qin was shocked. Does this guy have no sense of taste? He drank down a bowl of such spicy soup, without even taking a breath. He wasn't wrong. A living dead man, no breathing, no heartbeat. Zhong Yuan can't taste salty, sweet, bitter, or spicy at all. Feng Qin then began to explain the rewards of the college league. The league is divided into individual and team competitions. The top 10 will receive mustache essence rewards. The top 3 will receive 4 disaster grade mustache essences. Those ranked 4th to 8th will receive 2. Those ranked 9th and 10th will receive 4 red grade mustache essences. Additionally, the top 10 will have the opportunity to train in the self-selection boundary. After graduation, they will have priority in selecting null energy users. Zhong Lan, who was slurping noodles, became even more confused. Isn't the high school league only for null energy users? Why is Xiaomei trying to win her brother over? He's just an ordinary person. Zhong Yuan then remembered he hadn't told his sister. He quickly explained that he had already become a void user, and had absorbed a lot of blood essence. The naive Zhonglan thought her brother was like her, that he needed to receive a mandate to absorb blood essence. He abruptly put down his chopsticks. With a cry, tears streamed down his face. It's over. My brother is going to die. He doesn't have many years left to live. The genius younger sister, in order to become stronger, is willing to sacrifice 20 years of her lifespan. She even wants to sacrifice another 30 years to master a skill. Upon learning this, her older brother felt both heartbroken and furious. Now he finally understands, before his rebirth, why his sister was so aggressive in every battle. She was reckless. Is there any way to return the lifespan? No, not that I know of. Whether it's the Su gene that increases lifespan or technology, there's no way to eliminate the effects of absorption. He immediately took off his sunglasses, activating lifespan observation. I hadn't noticed before. Now, looking closely, Zhonglan's lifespan is indeed 20 years shorter. Generally speaking, a perfumer's talent is inherited from their family. If Zhonglan needs to consume lifespan to absorb the whale's abilities, Zhong Yuan should be the same, but as his gaze turned to Zhong Yuan, he found that his lifespan was displayed as 0. Zhong Yuan closed the box containing the baleen whale, and said righteously to Lon Lon, never again absorb a baleen whale by consuming your lifespan. If you die, then there's no meaning to my brother living. Just do it for your brother. Please stop doing this, okay? But Uncle Lin has high hopes for me, and I want to become stronger too, to protect my brother. Zhongwen threw the flying knife from his hand, accurately splitting the insect on the wall in two. Actually, you don't necessarily have to absorb virtual gold to become stronger. You can also enhance your physical abilities through training. You can use strategy to overcome the strong with the weak. You can use technology to create weapons. And you can use medical skills to save lives and heal the injured. As long as you train properly, you can still become a top-tier strong person. Save the world. Having said that, he picked up Zhonglan's phone. He called Lin Dongliang. Captain Lin, my sister Zhonglan's health has had some problems. She won't be able to continue absorbing the Su Jing anymore. The Lianzueyin Feng Su Jing, the one she hasn't absorbed yet, has been returned. Lin Dongliang on the other end of the phone sounded a little anxious. What's wrong with her? If there's a problem, get treatment immediately. But Zhong Yuan categorically stated that it's a hereditary family disease. It can't be cured, but you clearly promised to let him undergo the arrangement to become a null. I've already arranged the entire training plan for him. You're suddenly going back on your word. That's not very honorable, is it? My talent is no less than my sister's. Let me take his place and undergo your null training program. Lin Dongliang and Wen Yan don't believe you. What proof do you have that you're more qualified than Lon Lon? That's just hearsay. Then how am I supposed to prove it? Alright, then. Starting now, I'm suspending all resources and privileges you siblings have at school. As long as you can win first place in the individual competition at the Virtual Ability High School League, I'll believe you. Let bygones be bygones. After sending my sister back to the dorm, Zhong Yuan asked Feng Qin, can you see through other people's assigned tasks? Does the Academy of Sciences know? Feng Qin said she was the first person to know she possessed this ability. She deliberately revealed her secret to me. She's hinting at you. She won't reveal to others that she's a living dead person. That's a must. Who told you we're best buds? But compared to secrets, you should be thinking more about yourself right now. Lin Dongliang cut off your resources, and also wants you to get into the top 10 in the college league. He's clearly making things difficult for you. Or maybe you should find a rich woman to sponsor you. As soon as Detue said that, Zhong Yuan suddenly had an idea. He immediately took out his phone and called in Kai Ji's beautiful assistant. Captain N, I need a favor. Do you still have any of that ghost Hao Huan from last time? The fake one. I'll take as much as you have. Thank you. I owe you a huge one this time. The strong Feng Qin's face was full of shock. When did this guy get involved with Commander An's daughter? In the Huagua emergency warehouse. After receiving a level 1 mobilization order from Nkego, the warehouse personnel were busy sorting out the Ghost Hao emergency supplies. And Guanfen, the commander of the East China region, thought his daughter was messing around again, and was furious, slamming the table. It's utter nonsense. The fearless spirit amidst the false alarm, and the incompatibility between the reader's physique and the ability to subdue the phantom. The physiques are incompatible. Even with multiple attempts, there's no way to save them. It would only waste resources. The chief of staff next to him quickly explained. The person who eliminated the poachers in the Shenangjia forbidden area was someone named Xianming. He possesses reader skills. I guess miss and mobilize those virtual scriptures mostly for Xianming. So I suggest we give him 1,000 first. Then we strictly track the virtual scripture's destination. And Guanfeng agreed. The next day, in the instructor's office, Zhong Yuan was telling instructor Lu Wen that he wanted to sign up for the college league. Lu Wen was somewhat doubtful. Only virtual energy users are eligible to participate in the college league. You, a mere student, hadn't even finished speaking, when Zhong Yuan interrupted him, announcing that he had already become a null. His face was displeased. Becoming a null during school requires immediate reporting to the school. You really are a worry, child. Then he pulled out a form. Let Zhong Yuan fill in his abilities. Zhong Yuan took the form and began to fill it out. But there are only 8 spaces. And he now has more than 8 abilities absorbed from the blue whale. Also, the snow leopard's abilities are too overpowered. So I won't fill them in. And I'll lower the level of super cute as well. After filling it out, he handed the form to Lu Wen. Looking at the skills densely written on it, Lu Wen immediately became restless. Because in his understanding, human energy accumulators can only absorb a maximum of 8 abilities. Any more, and they would die from a body overload. But Zhong Yuan had absorbed all the skills in a short time. And the skill levels were unbelievably high. He excitedly stood up and walked towards Zhong Yuan. Teacher Zhong Yuan, I'm so sorry. If I had discovered earlier that you could absorb the void scripture yourself, I would definitely have given you a better void scripture. Instead of letting these low-level skills fill up 8 slots. But since your talent is so strong, why were you willing to be a companion student? Zhong Yuan only then remembered that Lin Dongliang possessed the ability of void energy sensing, but he could only sense his sister's talent, and didn't know that he himself possessed the ability to absorb frost snow serpent whales with 100% efficiency. Therefore, he was barely allowed to remain in the school as a companion student. All the mysteries, perhaps only the coffin that crushed him can explain. After Lu Wen carefully reviewed the ability level Zhong Yuan filled in on the form, she couldn't help but exclaim, "This frost snow serpent whale ability level is too ridiculously high. What's this super cute skill?" He asked Zhong Yuan to demonstrate it to him. Zhong Yuan hesitated at first, but after seeing Lu Wen's unwavering gaze, he could only comply. Immediately, he activated the super cute skill. "Did you activate it?" "Instructor, I've already activated it. Now you've fallen for it, but why don't I feel anything? This child is so pitiful. I haven't shown him enough care already. How could I possibly discourage him like this? It seems I need to give him more compensation." "Zhong Yuan, what's your family's annual income?" "Forget it, let's just report it as 50,000. This way, you can apply for the maximum amount of financial aid, and there's a nutrition program. You can get 4 bottles of milk every day. I'll help you apply for that too. With your grades, a scholarship shouldn't be a problem. Your student status can also be changed to a full-time student." Watching the instructor busy themselves, Zhong Yuan's face was full of astonishment. This super cute skill is terrifying. He's clearly already been hit, but he's completely unaware that he has a level 4 golden regeneration. That's quite rare. "Show the teacher." Zhong Yuan was completely baffled. He quickly said that he wasn't injured. "How do I explain this?" The instructor said, "Just use your hair. According to your golden silk grade, cutting off 1 centimeter will allow it to grow at least 10 centimeters. He then took the scissors and with a snip, cut off a meter of Zhong Yuan's hair. Zhong Yuan immediately activated regeneration. The short hair that had been neatly trimmed instantly transformed into shoulder-length hair. He was originally a tall, handsome, sunny young man, and now she's become a soft, long-haired girl. Zhong Yuan, having just demonstrated her regeneration skill to the instructor, walked out of the office with long, black hair. It turned out that the weakened state only reduced her mental and physical strength. It didn't affect the regeneration skill's effect. Just as she was thinking this, bang, someone bumped into her. Falling to the ground, she quickly supported her head and apologized. "I'm very sorry. I wasn't paying attention where I was going." But the person he bumped into just stared at him speechless. Zhong Yuan looked up. This person wasn't wearing our school uniform. He guessed she must be a student from another school. Meanwhile, Jiang Tianhua's face was already flushed. His heart was pounding. "I actually bumped into a high school girl around the corner. It's just like the fated encounter scene between the male and female leads in a manga. Although there's a bit of foul language in the voice. But who can resist this black, straight, and pure, youthful, soft girl?" She quickly showed her gentlemanly demeanor, stepping forward to ask Zhong Yuan if she was injured, and incidentally inquire about her name. At this moment, Zhong Yuan was completely dumbfounded. "What's wrong with this person? Haven't I already apologized to her? Why do you keep relentlessly pressing me for my name? It looks like you're trying to assign blame. If I can't win, I can at least avoid this." He immediately gathered his strength and ran away, leaving Jiang Tianhua stunned in place. After a long while, he knocked on Lu Wen's office door. It turned out he was the student council president of Hualin College. He came to discuss the intercollegiate exchange with the school, because the two schools spontaneously organize sparring and learning sessions every year. But year after year, it's always the same old faces, losing the original intention. So he suggested giving freshmen a chance this year, with both sides assigning first-year students to compete. The instructor, upon hearing this, thought that in previous years, it was always Feng Qin, Shang Guanyi, and Su Wanning who fought, and that their Hualin Academy had always been soundly defeated. This year, they suddenly suggested assigning first-year students to spar. I guess they must have recruited some strong students. They want to regain some face. However, most of Hualing's students come from wealthy families. Their abilities are clearly higher. And besides Zhong Yuan, Chengying Academy, most of the other freshmen haven't become null energy users yet. It's good for them to experience some setbacks. He immediately agreed to the request. However, the time will be decided by Chengying Academy. Meanwhile, at the barbershop by the school gate, Zhong Yuan, with long hair, asked the barber for a crew cut. His younger sister quickly stopped him, saying, "Don't let my brother become an ugly monster. Master Tony, please give my brother a hairstyle that will make everyone fall for him, a captivating style." The barber understood. After a moment of bewilderment, Zhong Yuan's hair had been styled into a straight-across bangs, girly hairstyle. Seeing his straight-laced brother transformed into a soft, cute girl, Zhong Yuan happily stepped forward to tie his hair into 2 pigtails. Zhong Yuan quickly stopped him, but his sister brought up old grievances. When they were little, he himself said that pigtails were the hairstyle of strong people. Now you refuse to comb it. Were you lying to me all along? Zhong Yuan quickly explained that Lanlan had grown up. It's time for your brother to unleash the dark magic power that has been sealed within you. When Yen's Zhonglan felt something was wrong. After a while, 2 figures, one tall and one short, walked out of the barbershop. The taller one had a neat, straight fringe combed back into a thick ponytail. Beside him, the shorter one had 2 pigtails. Her braided hair, seen from afar, exudes elegance and grace, youthful and vibrant. She's the campus beauty whose admirers could circle the earth 2.5 times, and also the strongest support player in the academy. But because of Zhong Yuan's one sentence, she trains relentlessly, 25 hours a day, without rest. Just a short while ago, he invited Zhong Yuan to the school gate alone to eat malatang, and sincerely invited him to join his university league team. But unexpectedly, this stunning school beauty was actually rejected by an auditor. When asked the reason, Zhong Yuan simply said that the reason he's the strongest support is because of your ultimate wish skill, but you yourself are too weak. Since then, Su Wanning started training day and night. Even her best friend Jiang Xiyuan couldn't bear to watch anymore, just because of a single sentence from Zhong Yuan. Are you so discouraged? The league's restructuring. You and Feng Qin splitting up was inevitable, and Zhong Yuan is Feng Qin's brother. Feng Qin even fell out with the entire student council for him. So it's normal for her to reject you. But Su Weining says you don't understand. She says I'm not strong enough. Indeed, my ultimate Qiyue is the reason I'm the strongest support, not because of who I am. So I have to train even harder. Even you, the chosen one, are so dedicated. Then how can we ordinary people survive? Just then, my phone rang suddenly. It was a call from my twin brother, Jiang Tianxuo. Wow, the sun must have risen in the west today. Little brother, why are you bothering to call your sister? Don't tell me you're trying to gather intelligence. Jiang Tianxuo said, it's for my dream lover. He absolutely cannot get angry. You know, his cheap older sister has always liked to label boys since she was little. This one's a 0, that one's a 1. It's hard enough that they're not in the same high school. For the sake of my own happiness in the future, I must keep my composure. Older sister, I want you to help me find someone. I bumped into her this morning at the entrance to your school staff room. She has long, straight black hair, and is a cute, soft-spoken girl. Delicate and slender, especially cute. I think I might have a crush on her. As soon as I said that, Jiang Xiyuan instantly became overjoyed, jumping for joy. That's great. So my younger brother likes girls. It seems our Jiang family won't die out after all. Don't worry, I'll check the security footage right away. I guarantee I'll help you find your love at first sight. Meanwhile, in the East China office, Enkage is incessantly telling his father about his exploits in Hunan. Dad, you wouldn't believe how amazing Xianming is. Okay, you've been talking for 2.5 hours already. My ears are starting to get calluses. He's only 16 this year. But his maturity far surpasses his peers. He's incredibly powerful, but he keeps a low profile. And he's completely uninterested in joining any energy accumulator teams. He didn't even react when he was thrown over someone's shoulder. So cold. He's extraordinary. You can't control someone like him. Daughter, you should give up. If you really can't let go, just becoming friends with him would be enough. Hearing this, Enkage angrily got up and left. At that moment, his phone suddenly rang. He opened it to check. It turns out it was personal information from the Central Plains. After the update, it was set to top secret files. I didn't expect a teenager, a high school student, to actually be able to absorb a full 8 skills. And each skill is at such a high level. Not only does he have the death immunity that everyone chases after, he even has a national treasure level skill. Super cute. But more surprising than all that, was the fact that there was no trace of Robuz, the lighthouse keeper and powerful Voidner. Logically, such a strong Voidner should have left behind a void scripture after death, but the Central Plains hadn't absorbed it, nor had it been submitted. Doing so would undoubtedly bring him great danger. Time Express, small. Go is carrying a huge safe for Zhong Yuan. Haven't seen you in days. Got a new hairstyle, but you know what? This long hair suits you very well, Zhong Yuan helplessly said. I was originally going to get a buzz cut, but my younger sister prefers long hair, so I can only keep it. After signing for it, Zhong Yuan immediately opened the safe. It was the Ghost Hair Huanqiu Sutra sent to him by Enkage. There was also a note inside, between Xianming friends. No need to thank me. Looking at the full sutra, Zhong Yuan thought to himself at this moment, after absorbing so many Huanqiu rage and strike skills, then I should be able to reach the level of a martial arts master, right? He immediately assumed a posture and began to absorb. The man was hit by 1,000 Jin, a unit of weight, golden coffin. He unexpectedly was reborn and returned to 4 years ago. Upon waking again, although he had no breathing or heartbeat, he could live like a normal person. And he also gained the ability to absorb the essence of the scriptures with 100% efficiency. He became a non-matriculated student in a special class at Sunning High School, originally just wanting to quietly stay by his sister's side, blocking all dangers for her. But unexpectedly, he gradually became the strongest Su Ning user. Not only did his extraordinary strength gain the recognition of China's high-level officials, but he also captivated the hearts of many young men and women with his cool appearance. The day before, he had just told Enkage, Commander An's daughter, that he needed Guihao to exchange for Shujin. The next day, I received a whole safe full. Calculating at a 5-figure sum. The value of these thousands of pieces of virtual gold is close to a small fortune. Such precious things. And Cage just gave them away. At this moment, Zhong Yuan finally understood why Feng Yumo was so keen on befriending rich women. Then he began to absorb it. Countless virtual gold energies transformed into golden rays of light, converging towards Zhong Yuan's body. As the absorption amount increases, his original ghostly joy ability is also constantly upgrading. Raging Strike upgraded to Light Max. You have acquired a new ability, Martial Arts Master. Martial Arts Master upgraded to Red Max. You have acquired a new ability, Tit for Tat. Tit for Tat ability upgraded to Light Max. You've gained a new ability, An Eye for an Eye. Martial Master ability increased by 1000%. When attacked, you can absorb a certain amount of attack power and reflect the damage. Reflected power will not exceed 300% of your own attack. After absorbing all the energy, Zhong Yuan instantly felt dizzy. He even felt an unprecedented drowsiness since his rebirth. I remember my teacher once said, baleen whales contain a set of negative energies produced before their death. Absorbing a large amount will cause side effects to the body. It seems I can't just absorb a large amount of baleen whales like this anymore. Just then, I suddenly went black. A faint voice came from behind, guess who I am? Immediately, a miserable cry came from the dormitory building. Zhong Yuan, hands in pockets. Addressing Feng Qin, whom he had just instinctively attacked, he said, you should be glad my instincts aren't fast enough to kill you yet. Feng Qin, on the other hand, looked wronged and explained that she had knocked. But Zhong Yuan didn't react, so she climbed in through the window. She originally intended to tease him, but instead received a brutal attack. If it weren't for her days of, I guess they'll have to call 120. And this time, I'm here to remind Zhong Yuan to attend the student union meeting. Meanwhile, in the conference room, the cadres from various departments of the student union were already seated neatly. They already knew Zhong Yuan would be here today, but deliberately didn't leave a seat for him. Shangguan also stated that no matter what the president says, Zhong Yuan, that useless person, will absolutely not have a place here. Soon, the conference room door was pushed open. Feng Qin and Zhong Yuan arrived. He introduced Zhong Yuan to everyone. From now on, he will be the student council's discipline committee member. After speaking, he softly reminded Zhong Yuan to give a self-introduction. Unexpectedly, Zhong Yuan only coldly said, hello everyone, my name is Zhong Yuan. This perfunctory attitude instantly aroused the dissatisfaction of everyone present. But unfortunately, he had the president backing him up. Everyone could only dare to be angry but not to speak out. Seeing there were no empty seats, Feng Qin asked him to sit in her president's seat. Zhong Yuan didn't stand on ceremony. He let out a haughty sound before sitting down directly. The nearby official quickly reminded him that this was the chairman's seat. But before he finished speaking, Zhong Yuan coldly gave him a look. Why, can't I sit in this chair? He's a man who can easily defeat the 2 top experts on the youth ranking. Even his personal information is classified as top secret. Yet, just because he took a single over-the-shoulder throw while weakened, he was treated like a soft persimmon, easily manipulated. The school meeting room was holding its weekly student meeting. The self-righteous cadres tried to intimidate the newcomer, Zhong Yuan. They deliberately didn't assign him a seat, but unexpectedly, President Feng Qin, fiercely protective of her people, gave her own special seat to Zhong Yuan. He had just sat down, when the secretary next to him, Jian Ro, spoke up to stop him. Zhong Yuan, upon hearing this, simply said expressionlessly, how? I can't sit in this chair. His sharp gaze was chilling. Jian Ro was instantly terrified by his powerful aura, breaking out in a cold sweat. Looking at the chairman's attitude, it's clear he's treating Zhong Yuan as the next chairman. She immediately stood up. She offered her seat to Feng Qin. Then she obediently went to the next classroom to fetch a chair. That's enough. Shangguan Yi suddenly shouted loudly. Zhong Yuan is a despicable and shameless pretty boy. A good-for-nothing who rose to power through underhanded means. If you have the guts, let's fight one-on-one. Jian Ro quickly tried to stop him, but Shangguan Yi continued to hurl insults. Feng Qin, who didn't understand the language, looked completely bewildered. She didn't understand why he was reacting so strongly. You're shameless, and your sister is no good either. At such a young age, she's already hooking up with high-ranking officials. This time, you've touched the inverse scale of the Central Plains. His face instantly darkened. Dare to defile my precious sister. I don't think you want to leave this conference room standing. Shangguan Yi, however, didn't care. He continued to provoke him verbally. Anyone can bluff. If you've got the guts, accept my challenge. Fine, accept it. If you lose, you'll not only have to apologize to my sister in front of the whole school, but you'll also have to be my dog for a month. Every morning, you'll kneel at the cafeteria entrance and offer me Xylong Bao with both hands. War is about to break out. Feng Qin kindly reminded Shangguan Yi not to seek his own death, but he was already inflated and lost himself at this moment. He slammed the table in uncontrollable anger. He stared fixedly at Zhong Yuan, who remained expressionless. Do you really think you can scare me by saying that? Think again. Today, I will definitely beat you, this waste, back to your original form. But if you lose, you have to learn to bark like a dog for me. While rolling out of Chengying Academy, Zhong Yuan said no problem. In that case, I will witness this battle. One point to emphasize. You two don't have any deep-seated hatred. Don't go for the kill while you're showing off. Soon, a space was cleared in the conference room. Zhong Yuan still stands with his arms crossed. He doesn't even know what an opponent looks like. He's just so cool. Meanwhile, Shang Guanyi assumes a fighting stance, ready to engage at any moment. Feng Qin transforms into a war correspondent, holding up her phone and taking pictures incessantly. Shang Guanyi initiates his skill. A fierce flame erupted from his fist instantly. It rapidly attacked Zhong Yuan, but unexpectedly, Zhong Yuan simply dodged the attack with a sideways movement. Shang Guanyi's face was full of astonishment. He looked back in disbelief. He began to doubt whether Zhong Yuan was truly a good-for-nothing. Zhong Yuan was also somewhat surprised at this moment. He didn't expect that even after activating his martial arts master mode, he could dodge such a swift attack. In my own eyes, it's as if his movements are slowed down dozens of times. He's far from graceful or stylish. If I were to make a move, I could probably cripple him with one strike. I have to hold back. Just as I was thinking that, Shang Guanyi launched another even fiercer attack. I don't believe you can dodge this. But facing his dense, rain-like flurry of punches and kicks, Zhong Yuan, however, merely sidestepped lightly, dodging each and every one. The strong Feng Qin was speechless with astonishment. This skill level is definitely unattainable simply through brute force and striking techniques. Just how many more secrets does this Zhong Yuan guy hide? 10 minutes later, Shang Guanyi hadn't even touched a single hair on Zhong Yuan's head. He slumped onto the table, utterly dejected. It was simply unbelievable. This guy is so strong. But he didn't react at all when I threw him over my shoulder that day. Did he not even take me seriously? Then, enraged, he raised his fist again. Zhong Yuan, you coward. Don't hide if you dare. Seeing this, Zhong Yuan just sighed. Then he launched a counterattack. Meeting the incoming attack head-on. Counterattack skill activated. This time, life or death is your own decision. He's an auditor who barely got into the school through the back door. Yet, immediately after freshman military training, he was assigned to an important position in the student council. Even the student council president is extremely respectful towards him, but everyone still doubts his abilities. At the regular meeting, Shang Guanyi, also a member of the discipline committee, challenged Zhong Yuan, but facing his swift and fierce attacks, Zhong Yuan was always able to dodge easily. After a long time, Shang Guanyi, who hadn't even touched a corner of Zhong Yuan, was exhausted. He never expected that the man who had been too scared to speak after he'd thrown him over his shoulder, actually possessed such incredibly high strength. He himself is ranked 209th on the youth ranking, after all. Incredibly, under nearly 10 minutes of attack, not even a single hair on his head was touched. Filled with grief and anger, he raised his fist, ready to deliver a final blow to Zhong Yuan with all his might. But this time, Zhong Yuan didn't dodge. He simply stood there. Everyone held their breath for him. You should know that this punch from Shang Guanyi has used up all his energy. If he's hit, the impact will be no less than a high-explosive grenade. 3 meters, 2 meters, 1 meter. Shang Guanyi's face is full of astonishment. Why didn't Zhong Yuan dodge? Could it be that he despises his own strength so much? Actually, he had already acknowledged Zhong Yuan's strength in his heart. His final blow was merely an attempt to salvage some of the dignity he'd lost through his own underestimation. But Zhong Yuan didn't dodge or flinch. He was instantly thrown into panic. In a moment of desperation, he could only manage to retract half his power. Then his fist slammed heavily into Zhong Yuan's shoulder. His clothes were instantly shattered by the force. Yet he heard no sound from Zhong Yuan. Instead, Shang Guanyi's arm felt like it had been hit by a cannonball, shattered into pieces. He fell into a pool of blood with a thud. Zhong Yuan immediately activated regeneration, healing the wound on his shoulder. Looking at Shang Guanyi, who was in excruciating pain on the ground, he thought he actually knew when to stop. Otherwise, it wouldn't have been just the loss of an arm. Jian Ro, his childhood sweetheart, quickly rushed forward to help him up. Everyone gasped in amazement. Zhou Yuan actually defeated Shang Guanyi, ranked 209th on the young masters list, without even lifting a finger. His strength is simply terrifying. Although, breaking someone's arm without a second thought is a bit excessive. Feng Qin said with a face full of resentment. You said you wouldn't kill him. He's not dead, but they beat him until he was crippled. It makes me want to give up on life. Zhong Yuan quickly explained. That's a blatant lie. I stood there like a turtle, not moving at all. He even tore my clothes. You actually say I started the fight, but Feng Qin wouldn't let it go. Look, his arm is shattered, and you still tell me you didn't make a move. Faced with the relentless questioning, Zhong Yuan could only sigh helplessly. Then he activated his ultimate cute skill. It's not my fault. Force is reciprocal. Hearing this, Feng Qin flew into a rage. Do you think I've never studied physics? Action and reaction are equal and opposite. He's crippled, but you're fine. Zhong Yuan was puzzled. Did my cute stay in the game skill fail? It's hit or miss. Looks like I need to do more research. Feng Qin then picked up the tattered clothes from the ground and handed them to Zhong Yuan. Forget it, your clothes are torn. Let me give you some first aid. Were today's events within your expectations? Feng Qin replied. More or less. Jian Rou, anxiously supporting Shangguan, loudly scolded them. He's so badly injured. And you still have the nerve to joke around. Feng Qin, hurry up and treat him. At these words, Feng Qin was unhappy. Am I your personal errand boy? Do you really think that my 2 years of self-cultivation have left me without a temper, allowing you to call me around at will? This idiot provoked me 3 or 5 times, and I couldn't dissuade him. He even dared to attack my people. Now he's reaping what he sowed. I'm telling you today. I can't cure this injury. Do whatever you want. At this time, the surrounding students also whispered, serves him right. Zhong Yuan didn't make a move the whole time. He kept dodging. He didn't fight back despite countless opportunities. He's already quite refined. Shangguan Yi is too ungrateful. How could someone the president recommends be a weakling? Listening to the people around her, one after another, saying various bad things about her childhood sweetheart. Jian Rou's face was full of grievance and confusion. These people were just supporting Shangguan Yi. How come the wind has suddenly changed? He's not usually so indecisive, but he didn't have time to think. He quickly pulled out his phone and called security. Soon, security personnel put Shangguan on a stretcher. They quickly contacted the medical room to prepare for emergency treatment. Then they asked what had happened. Zhong Yuan touched his head, a little embarrassed. He admitted that he was the one who hit him. Wen Yan and Feng Qin quickly explained that it was a fair fight. I can testify to that. Regardless of the truth, since he caused such serious injuries to Shangguan Yi, he has to come with us. Please, Feng Xiao, don't make things difficult for me. Feng Qin looked serious. What? Are you threatening me? Zhong Yuan quickly stopped him, saying, it's all right. I'll just go with them. After all, they're involved because of me. I believe those in charge won't be unreasonable. Before leaving, he still remembered to turn back and tell his sister not to tell her about this. Meanwhile, Feng Qin still had a gloomy expression. Are these guys trustworthy? Okay, since you choose to believe them, I'll give them a chance. The man took a bomb-like blow, but suffered no injury whatsoever. Instead, the attacker lost an arm. Seeing this, Shangguan Yi's childhood sweetheart hurriedly called for guards to send him to the infirmary for emergency treatment. Afterwards, Zhong Yuan, unharmed, was also taken away. Classmate Zhong Yuan, thank you very much for cooperating with our work. However, before our superiors confirm the details of the incident, we have to ask you to bear with us. You'll have to stay in the detention room. You can't go anywhere else for now. He looked at the small bed in the corner. A wave of drowsiness suddenly washed over him. I immediately turned off all the lights and closed the doors and windows. I lay quietly in bed, closing my eyes and feeling the dim, small, enclosed space. Zhong Yuan felt a strange sense of comfort. If this room were even smaller, it would be even better if the bed were completely surrounded on all sides, top and bottom. Sure enough, only a confined, small space like a coffin. Only then can the dead rest in peace. After that, he activated his super senses. Then he slept for the first time since his rebirth. In the monitoring room, 2 officers saw how calm Zhong Yuan was, even sleeping soundly. They guessed he was just trying to cope with the stress, so he pretended to be calm. So they excitedly placed a bet. Meanwhile, in the principal's office, the old principal held the school discipline rectification standards, feeling righteous and superior. The headmaster comforted him from the side. Be optimistic, he said. This school discipline rectification covers the entire East China region. It's not just our adult education college. The principal grew angrier the more he thought about it. Look at these requirements. Overall grades cannot be below 85. Failure to meet the midterm exam standards means disqualification from the University League. Failure to meet graduation exam standards results in mandatory grade retention. Xiao Yi failed to meet the standards in all subjects, while Zhong Yuan's classmate achieved full marks in all subjects. This is clearly targeted at her. Captain An even said, since he eliminated the poachers last time, he realized the importance of theoretical knowledge. Before he finished speaking, a police officer suddenly barged in. Principal, it's bad news. Shangguan Yi was sparring with someone, and accidentally broke his arm. He's lying in the infirmary now. Medical personnel with limb regeneration abilities couldn't arrive in time. I'm afraid this hand is beyond saving. The principal, upon hearing this, leaped up from the sofa. The student council president, Feng Qin. Police explanation. Feng Qin was at the scene, but refused to say anything. He instantly felt his heart skip a beat. If his nephew Xiao Yi's arm can't be saved, then he'll be completely ruined. Don't worry first. The most important thing now is to figure out what's going on. You don't know Feng Qin's terrible temper. If it really doesn't work, we'll have to ask Commander An for help. Help convince me. Feng Qin, who was just about to head to the canteen for lunch, received a call. Looking at the caller ID, he looked helpless. It's ridiculous. He can't get me to do it himself, so he brings out the old fox to pressure me. Such a grand style indeed. He then answered the phone. Commander, and called me. I wonder if he wants to talk to me about the overall situation. Something like, East China cannot afford to lose so-and-so, or whatever. But unexpectedly, the call was about something else entirely. I've already seen the video of the battle. Zhong Yuan was not at fault. And you had no obligation to save him. Zhong Yuan is a once-in-a-century talent. Since he chooses to believe us, we will certainly handle this impartially. We will absolutely not condone or show favoritism. Therefore, whether you save Shangguan Yi today or not, the higher-ups will absolutely not hold Central Plains responsible. You've known Shangguan Yi for over 2 years now. What kind of person is he? You understand. As for saving him or not, I believe you already have your answer. Feng Qin indicated understanding, then hung up the phone. Walking into the dining hall, she saw Zhong Lan, this little foodie, holding a bowl brimming with spicy chicken, covered in colorful chili peppers. Little sister Zhong Lan, is this all you're eating for dinner? This junk food? Zhong Lan says it's super delicious. Want some? Oh, and Feng Qin's brother. Didn't my brother go with you to the student council meeting this afternoon? Why didn't he come to the cafeteria with you? Rebellious teenagers need more vegetables. Ignorance always comes with a price. In the school cafeteria, Zhong Lan asks Feng Qin where her brother is, and why he didn't come to eat with her. Feng Qin explains that Zhong Yuan was bitten by a mad dog, and is currently getting a rabies shot at the medical office. Wen Yan is startled at first, then his face shows worry. Seeing this, Feng Qin quickly, changing the subject, pointing at her bowl full of food, she said, Lan Lan, you actually ate all the spicy chicken while your brother was away and didn't eat any staple food. I'm going to tell on you. At these words, Zhong Lan instantly felt guilty. I didn't. I just accidentally took too much. I'm too embarrassed to return it. How about this? I'll order more vegetables and staple foods, and you can give me half of your spicy chicken. Zhong Lan was puzzled. Why would Feng Qin, who usually can't eat spicy food, suddenly want to eat spicy chicken? Feng Qin explained that she wanted to try something new. Zhong Lan thought she had found a fellow food waster. Happily, I clipped the chicken from my bowl and gave it to him. This is the cafeteria's signature dish. I guarantee you won't be able to stop after one bite. Feng Qin shakily picked up a piece and put it in her mouth. Her face instantly turned redder than a monkey's bottom. My God! Is this something a human can eat? It's all my fault. I shouldn't have. Most of all, I shouldn't have trusted the siblings' taste. After a cursory chew, he picked up his rice bowl and gobbled it down. Zhong Lan, beside him, still looked on expectantly. See? I told you it was super delicious. Feng Qin, who almost died on the spot, endured the burning sensation in his stomach, and with immense suffering, raised his hand to indicate it was excellent. But the moment he turned, he initiated a rapid self-rescue. It's over. The one who bit his brother was the principal's dog, fostered at the student union to guard the place. It bit you because it's not familiar with your brother. He was planning to bring it for you to play with. But now your brother has beaten it into a three-legged cripple. If he hadn't held back, it probably would have been beaten to death. Do you think this dog is worth treating? Zhong Wan's mouth was full of meat, mumbling his question. Will it bite its brother again after it's cured? Feng Qingyi solemnly guaranteed that it absolutely would not. Zhong Wan pondered for 2.5 seconds before saying that if it didn't bite anymore, then let's treat it. Meanwhile, in the infirmary, the principal and his party were anxiously waiting. Old Boo, do you think I should call the higher-ups again? The department head quickly stopped him. It's 24 hours, several times a week. There are still 2 hours left. It's no use getting anxious now. If Feng Qin really doesn't want to come, no one can do anything about it. Shangguan Yi, sitting on the bed, dejected, loudly scolded, enough. All of you, get out. I need to rest. Seeing this, they could only slowly walk out of the ward. After everyone left, Shangguan Yi could no longer suppress the sadness in his heart. He held his head and began to repent. It's all my fault. Why was I so stupid? Knowing that Zhong Yuan was the one chosen by Feng Qin, and yet I still questioned his strength. But even when he was thrown over his shoulder by me, he didn't fight back. He kept giving way throughout the duel. Why was I so foolish back then? Why did I have to bully such a good person? And now, even if Feng Qin refuses to help with the treatment, I can only consider it my own fault. I was thinking that, when suddenly I heard a voice from the doorway. I don't know when. Feng Qin was leaning against the door frame, hands in her pockets, questioning her whether she knew about Wenxing behind her. Shangguan Yi could no longer care about dignity. With a thud, she knelt down on the ground, sobbing and saying that she already knew she was wrong. Begging, please, let bygones be bygones. Save me. Feng Qin could only helplessly watch. If only I had known. Why did I do it then? He then turned to his one-armed superior, Su Ren, and Shangguan's originally missing limb instantly healed. Afterward, he turned and walked directly out the door without looking back. Before leaving, he still reminded him, this time, you were lucky. Zhong Yuan didn't want to kill in front of everyone. If you dare to do that again next time, then no one will be able to save you. One last thing, don't forget to keep your promise. Your hand can recover. All because his sister didn't want a three-legged. This is ambiguous, needs context to translate accurately. Perhaps cripple or defective would fit depending on context. That good-for-nothing man actually slept for 7 days and 7 nights, without eating, drinking, or using the toilet. He didn't even flinch. This guy sleeps too much. Is it really okay to go this long without eating, drinking, or using the restroom? At the school's security office, several people were buzzing about encountering someone who could sleep this much for the first time. I tried to wake him up several times by bringing him food, but he didn't react at all. Could he be dead? Suddenly, the door was opened. An angry man stormed into the office. The military region has already completed the investigation and filed the documents. Why haven't you released him yet? It's not that we won't release him. He refuses to leave. The police officers looked aggrieved. Then several people went to the cell where the prisoner was being held. After turning on all the lights, the man approached his bed, stating that the Shangguani matter had been thoroughly investigated, and that he didn't need to bear any responsibility. He could go home now. But after calling for a long time, Zhong Yuan, lying stiffly in bed, didn't react at all. The man gently touched him with his hand. I found Zhong Yuan's body was exceptionally cold. Then I sighed. I was instantly terrified. No good. He's not breathing. Quickly call for medical personnel. The guard was instantly so scared that cold sweat broke out all over him. Or should we just call Feng Qin to rescue him directly? But my colleague beside me said, you know what kind of relationship Feng Qin has with Zhong Yuan, don't you? If he finds out what happened to Zhong Yuan in the confinement room, he'll probably tear apart the entire guard department. Let's call Chief Physician Cheng Ying. Before long, the physician arrived here, grumbling. I just stabilized Shangguan Yi's condition. I finally got off work and wanted a drink. And I'm summoned again. You guys are really wearing me out. Everyone said the situation was truly urgent. Otherwise they wouldn't have called for help so anxiously. Please hurry and save him. Immediately, the doctor initiated life-sharing for Zhong Yuan. But after a long while, Zhong Yuan remained completely motionless. Suddenly, the doctor spat out blood, and collapsed. I almost collapsed. Luckily, the police officer next to me helped me up in time. How is Zhong Yuan doing? But unexpectedly, the doctor looked terrified. He's already cold. He can't be saved. You should quickly notify his family to arrange the funeral. Excuse me, everyone. Having said that, he ran straight out the door. Now everyone was at a loss. They had no choice but to call higher-ups to report. But Commander An on the other end remained unusually calm. From the information submitted by Feng Qin earlier, Zhou Yuan had experienced similar symptoms of apparent death before. It's actually a state similar to hibernation. No special treatment is needed. Wait until the time comes. He will naturally wake up. At these words, everyone in the confinement room finally relaxed. But we can't let him sleep in the confinement room forever, can we? Remember from middle school biology class, when the temperature rises, animals will end their hibernation. How about we try raising the room temperature? So they brought over a pile of heating equipment, and started blowing it at Zhong Yuan's face. Winter is already over. Zhong Yuan, wake up. The spring thunder has sounded. The hibernating animals should be waking up to forage. Zhong Yuan, your last mission, taking down the poacher, was outstanding. Command has decided to award you a medal and a banner, and a generous bonus. Come on, get up and receive your award. Zhong Yuan classmate. I have dozens of high-definition, uncensored, educational films here. Just get up, and I'll give them all to you immediately. Let them try their best. But the Central Plains remains unmoved. Everyone is scratching their heads and stamping their feet, saying they are powerless. Now that it's come to this, let's not be too proud to ask for help. Let's quickly call Feng Qin. Everyone prepare to be knocked down. Meanwhile, in the Central Plains, he was lost in his own divine stone. There was no time. No space, it was the other shore of life and death. He drifted peacefully, as if about to merge with everything around him. Just then, a faint voice reached his ears from the Central Plains. Your sister was beaten by people from Hualing Academy. Zhong Yuan, your sister was beaten by people from Hualing Academy. After hearing the content of the message, Zhong Yuan immediately opened his eyes. Sitting up abruptly, he grabbed Feng Qin's collar beside him. What did you say? Who beat Lon Lon? Lon slept for 7 days and 7 nights. He even stopped breathing and his heart stopped beating. But he woke up because of a single sentence. Zhong Yuan, your sister was beaten by people from Hualin Academy. At these words, Zhong Yuan, who had been lying stiffly in bed, instantly sat up. He grabbed Feng Qin by the collar and said, what did you say? Who beat Lon Lon? Seeing her awake, everyone was instantly overcome with emotion and gratitude. Zhong Yuan, are you alright? Should we get you checked out? Seeing this, Feng Qin pulled Zhong Yuan up and started to walk away. You don't need to worry. He's fine. No need for any checks. Yuan, let's go. Let's go get a late-night snack. Meanwhile, Zhong Yuan was still in a daze. He checked the time on his phone. Only then did he realize he had slept for so long, and the super perception he activated before sleep didn't wake him. He questioningly asked Principal Feng Qin why she let him off so easily. Shang Wan-yi was his own nephew, after all. Feng Qin said that a mere principal wouldn't dare to make things difficult for him. He has the commander's backing. Seeing Zhong Yuan still looked bewildered, he continued to explain that the commander of the East China region, Guanfeng, was Nkei's father, the one who went out with you that night and didn't return. I also don't understand why this old fox would help you. Could it be that you did something unspeakable to his daughter? When Yan's Zhong Yuan fell into deep thought. He had originally thought that if they were to protect Shang Wanyin, he would just use violence to directly level the school. But looking at the situation now, it seems he was being narrow-minded. He'd better keep these thoughts to himself. Suddenly, he turned sharply and questioned Feng Qin. Right, I remember now. You mentioned earlier that my sister was beaten by someone from Hualin Academy. Feng Qin touched her head, a little embarrassed. This matter has its roots in the tradition of Chengying and Hualin Academies challenging each other in sparring matches. 12 hours ago, Zhong Lan and the other new students represented Chengying in a martial arts exchange at Hualin Academy, but they all lost. On the bus back, Zhong Lan sat in her seat, looking dejected. Her classmate quickly comforted her, saying that Hualin students are all from wealthy families, and started training earlier than them, so it's normal for them to lose, especially to that Cui Xingshi. His strength is formidable. You were able to exchange several moves with him, that's already quite impressive. I lost, so I lost. I wouldn't make excuses like you. It's simply that I wasn't strong enough. I must work even harder when I get back. Instructor Wen Yan felt greatly relieved. Although I lost in the sparring match at Hualin this time, but it ignited the students' fighting spirit. It can be considered achieving the purpose of this trip. Zhong Lan immediately took out her phone and called Feng Qin's brother. I have a request. My brother said you're exceptionally good at fighting, so I want to ask you to give me special training. Speaking of which, Feng Qin waved her hand, indicating that this is how things stand. Zhong Yuan's face instantly darkened. Lan actually hid the fact that she went to fight from me, and she didn't even ask me for special training. But you, what exactly did you do to her? Feng Qinhan said, don't look at me like that. I didn't do anything. And I've been completely honest with you about everything. No matter how you look at it, I'm on your side. Okay, but seriously, your sister, although she didn't suffer any external injuries, but her young heart was dealt a heavy blow by Hualin Academy. She must really wish she had a Superman brother to help her avenge her. But unfortunately, this sparring match is only for first-year students. Zhong Yuan is already furious at this point. He's gearing up to confront the person who hit his sister. Meanwhile, in the banquet hall of Hualin Academy, a pretty boy surrounded by a group of people raises his glass, boastfully claiming that even though everyone from the United States is as strong as an ox, he can still easily beat 5 of them at once without backing down, and everyone here is just a bunch of weaklings. As for Kai Ruokan, I could take down 10 to 20 of him with one hand. Jiang Tianxua and his classmates nearby were so angry they gritted their teeth. This Chui fellow constantly bragged about the United States and belittled China. Should we just let him be so arrogant? This pretty boy is half Korean. His purpose in coming to China is to participate in the University League. His family even spent 2 small targets, a large sum of money. They also have other exchanges of interests with the school board. Therefore, the school's upper management also wants to use the sparring match with Chengying College to build him up. To this end, I even bypassed Chengying's student council and went straight to find someone to test him. Unfortunately, none of Chengying's freshmen were capable of suppressing this guy. Just then, a voice came from the doorway. The little Karamas of Hualin College, come out and fight. What's going on? It seems like people from Chengying College are here to help. It's only 11 o'clock now. It's not yet sparring time. Jiang Tianxua was the first to push open the door and go out. But as soon as he went out, he froze on the spot. Xingqian's hair fell into a long, straight style. How could it be him? 2 incredibly handsome figures stood abruptly outside the door. His sister only scraped her skin in the martial arts room, but her brother wants to kill the other person. Love from a doting brother from Central Plains. It's so simple and brutal. The little trash of Hualin Academy, come out and get beaten. Jiang Tianxua, the student council president of Hualin Academy, rushed out of the gate first, but after seeing who had come, he froze on the spot. Xingqian in long, straight black hair. Isn't this the girl he's been dreaming of, his love at first sight? But why does she look more and more like a boy now? He then asked the person next to him. Look at the girl with long, straight black hair next to Feng Qin. Is that a boy or a girl? That looks like a boy. Well, nowadays, it's common for boys to have long hair. So, Chief, you shouldn't judge people by their hairstyle. When Yan's Jiang Tianxua still held on to a sliver of hope. How could it be a boy? Impossible. Absolutely impossible. At this moment, Choi Song-se, the pampered pretty boy, walked out with a look of disdain. Oh, isn't this Chengying's good for nothing? I wiped out your entire 15-man team and you still won't admit defeat. And here come 2 more easy targets. You're the one who hit my sister, aren't you? Zhong Yuan's pale face instantly contorted in rage. His hands gathered energy, unleashing a blue blast. The reckless Master Chui continues to clamor for a fight. Bring on a whole nest of them. This is the shameless characteristic of your China. Before he could finish his sentence, Zhong Yuan instantly launched an attack. The fearless malicious martial arts master, using his blood ring skill, went all out. A heavy punch struck the little pickle directly in the face. A loud bang was heard. The Saint Master was instantly flung dozens of meters away. He crashed heavily into the fountain, his head submerged in the water. The onlookers gasped in shock, exclaiming, "What the hell? What just happened? Why did he suddenly fly all the way over here? Quick, call a healer." Zhong Yuan was also somewhat stunned at this moment. All 4 skills are activated. My body doesn't feel the slightest bit unusual. After a sleep, I feel like I've gotten even stronger. Feng Qin next to me quickly asked how much stronger. How many can I instantly kill? Feng Yumu explained that it wasn't a matter of instantly killing a few. The cost has decreased. My weak period has shortened. How short is it now? Seeing Feng Qin suddenly care so much about him, he felt a little uncomfortable. He asked, questioning, "Why are you so concerned about me? Could it be that you've fallen for me? Let me tell you, I'm straight. I'm not interested in you. Sympathy doesn't mean that. We'll definitely be on the same team for the upcoming National League. I need to understand my teammates' specific conditions first," Zhong Yuan said. Originally it would take 2 days to recover. Now it only takes a day and a half. He then tried to gather his energy. I found that my spiritual power seems to have become stronger too. I didn't feel the slightest fatigue after simultaneously activating 4 skills just now. Unexpectedly, sleeping in solitary confinement actually has such a miraculous effect. It seems I should go to solitary confinement more often in the future, whether I have something to do or not. Let's look at Cui Xingshi. After taking a central plains punch, his face is swollen with a bun-sized lump. He's being helped and is shakily walking away towards Zhong Yuan and the others. Despicable villain. You attacked me before I was ready. You're not playing fair. Seeing this, Zhong Yuan asked Feng Qin if the sparring match could result in death. Feng Qin quickly stopped him. Of course not. Besides, that guy is Kai Bo's intern, and he's been here for 2.5 years. If he dies, I'm afraid it will cause international problems. A dishonorable person. That doesn't count. Let's fight again. Cui Xingshi was still shouting, but was stopped by Jiang Tianxua the next second. He walked in front of Feng Qin, asking what the name of the classmate next to him was. Feng Qin, back to Central Plains, 1st grade new student. We didn't break our agreement. He's a boy. Feng Qin is doubtful. Are you blind? Of course he is. Jiang Tianxua, who still held a glimmer of hope in his heart, was instantly struck like a bolt from the blue. No, he's actually a boy. It's really a boy. Wait a second. He just said his sister was beaten by the Xingshi master. That means his sister is also a freshman at Chengying Academy. Siblings in the same grade, and their hairstyles are quite different. Could it be that the girl with long, straight black hair that day was actually his twin sister? Then he went before Zhong Yuan, and gave a very polite bow. "Hello, Zhong Yuan. My name is Jiang Tianxua. I'm 18 years old, 180 centimeters tall, and weigh 78 kilograms. I fell in love with your sister at first sight. I want to date your sister seriously, with marriage in mind." Wen Yan felt a bad premonition. Is this guy trying to get himself killed? He even dares to touch a tiger's butt. Zhong Yuan's face darkened. Fine, others joking around is one thing, but you dare to get serious with me? His own sister is only 12 years old, and he actually makes such a beastly request. He's a beast. This person absolutely cannot be spared. Seeing this from a short distance away, Cui Xingshi continued to shout, "You, Jiang Tianhua. No wonder you kept stopping me from shouting. So you're in cahoots with them." Then he unleashed a unique Korean skill, mimicking the Central Plains, right? I was careless just now. Now it's my turn to ambush you. I am, after all, the chosen one with 3 abilities. Even if your punch was incredibly powerful, you couldn't have activated more than 3 skills. But he never expected that Zhong Yuan had just activated 4 skills. It exceeded the maximum number of skills he could withstand. As expected, Choi Sung-duk's pupils instantly constricted. Immediately, blood poured from his 7 orifices. With a thud, he collapsed. He thought he still had a chance to strike. But this wasn't a turn-based game. One moment the man was still arrogantly shouting. The next, blood flowed from his 7 orifices, rendering him unconscious. It turns out he just activated the Kimchi Nation's unique skill, simulation. He can directly copy all the skills used by the opponent for his own use. The upper limit is no more than the number of his own skills, but he never expected the seemingly gentle and weak black-haired girl in front of him. Just now, in the moment she attacked him, she activated 4 skills. Because the number of simulated skills exceeded his own upper limit, she suffered backlash. Everyone quickly stepped forward to help Feng Qin. What exactly did you do to Cui Xing? Why did he suddenly collapse? But she only nonchalantly said, "None of my business. I'm going to get him." Did I need to resort to a sneak attack? Jiang Tianxua, standing nearby, quickly scolded. "What are you doing standing there? Hurry up and send him to the infirmary." Feng Qin gave him a strong pat on the shoulder. "I say, President Jiang, why don't you represent Hualing Academy and admit defeat? I could consider lending a hand to help you save him. Jiang Tianxua was stunned upon hearing this. Why should I admit defeat? We fought a total of 16 sparring matches. Our school won 15 of them. But Feng Qing said, bullshit. Whoever stands to the end is the winner. But they forgot. Zhong Yuan, standing beside them at that moment, was looking increasingly unwell. Enough. You're changing the subject, aren't you? You think you can fool me, huh? You want to be with my sister? Then you'll have to go over my dead body. A terrifying aura suddenly emanated from him. The sudden pressure startled everyone. Only then did Feng Qing realize the situation was dire. Damn, I was interrupted by that idiot Xiaopakai. I forgot to appease Zhong Yuan. The volcano is about to erupt. The world is about to end. I'd better get out of here. Meanwhile, Jiang Tianxua was still bewildered. What exactly did I do wrong? Why is Zhong Yuan so against me being with his sister? Could it be that she feels unworthy of him? Feng Qing, who had slipped away, was gloating. Jiang Tianxua, just calm down. If you can survive this, I'll call you the world's strongest scum. My father is the chairman of Jiang Group, and I myself am #1 on the China Young Rich list, and in the top 100 of the global Young Rich list. At this moment, in the Central Plains, he had already drawn 6 throwing knives. His face grim and terrifying. Even if you're the richest man in the world, it won't change the fact that you're a beast. As soon as he finished speaking, he instantly threw the knives in his hand at Jiang Tianxua with incredible speed. Gene by Pancher, copper skin and iron bones. Seeing this, Jiang Tianxua quickly used various defensive skills. Just as the flying knife was about to pierce him, he hurriedly activated his magnetic power, only then nailing the knife, which was only 5 centimeters from him, in midair. He couldn't understand what exactly he had said wrong. Why did Zhong Yuan launch a killing move at him right away? In just an instant, Zhong Yuan had flashed before him. What are you dazed about? Immediately afterwards, a hook punch with 100% power smashed directly towards his face. With a clang, Jiang Tianxua was sent flying tens of meters. Zhong Yuan was somewhat astonished. Just what kind of thing is this guy? He fights like he's got a turtle shell. A series of loud bangs. Meanwhile, the Hualing Academy students present were all shocked by what they had just witnessed. Jiang Tianxua is not only the student council president of the school, but his strength also ranks among the top 100 on the youth ranking, and he only learned defensive skills. Normally, even if a psionicist tries their best, they can hardly injure him, but this freshman, with just a simple punch, sent him flying tens of meters. It's unbelievable. He immediately called for the guards. Jiang Tianxua's face was already swollen like a pig's head. Cold sweat poured down his face. He didn't expect the Central Plains strength to be so formidable. If I hadn't had the protective skill activated just now, that punch would have probably killed me. Why is it? Why are you stopping me from pursuing your sister? Zhong Yuan's face was full of killing intent at this moment. My sister is only 12 years old this year. Why do you think? Jiang Tianxua was shocked. That girl with the long, black, straight hair doesn't look a day over 12. Could it be that the person I bumped into at the corner that day was Nakahara himself? Nakahara said, well, who else would it be? It was just an accidental bump. You're holding a grudge, and you still dare to hit on my sister. If you want to die, just say so. Jiang Tianxua immediately diffused. I never expected that the pure, long, black, straight-haired girl I longed for day and night would be this Central Plains woman right before me, trying to kill me. The last bit of hope in my heart shattered. Let it all be destroyed. This cruel reality. There's no meaning in living anymore. Suddenly, the Central Plains woman pulled out a throwing knife. The sharp blade gleamed with a saint's cold light. Now you have nothing to say, right? Before the words even finished, a voice suddenly came from a distance. Young hero. Spare his life. It turned out to be reinforcements called in by the Hualin Academy. Meanwhile, Zhong Yuan merely glanced over his shoulder, giving them a sharp look. Just how terrifying is a brother who's a crazy doting sibling? The man just said he liked him. His younger sister almost got killed. Zhong Yuan drew a flying knife, its cold gleam chilling. He was about to execute Jiang Tianxua on the spot, when a voice suddenly came from afar. Spare him. It was the security team from Hualin Academy. Approaching, they immediately used control skills against Zhong Yuan. The once hard, flat ground instantly turned into a muddy swamp. Zhong Yuan jumped back after standing up, easily dodging. The strong guards were somewhat taken aback. The target has already escaped the mud. Why wasn't the spiritual cage released? The guards said they had activated it, but it had no effect on Zhong Yuan at all. Seeing Jiang Tianshu slowly sinking deeper and deeper into the mud, the medical guards quickly initiate life-sharing on him. Zhong Huan immediately mobilized the militia. They froze Jiang Tianxua solid in the ground, head down, trapped in the earth. He'll be dead in a few minutes, I estimate. As long as those guards don't interfere. He then threw a knife towards the guards. It landed accurately on the floor in front of the guards. It was close. If I'd moved forward even half an inch, their bodies would have been pierced by the throwing knives. His usually stern face showed no emotion. I don't like needless killing. so please, don't act rashly. The guards were all shocked by Zhong Yuan's strength. He's incredibly strong. Even if all of them combined, he's no match for that person at all. If he's determined to kill Jiang Tianxue, no interception will work. He might even end up getting himself killed. Meanwhile, the medical team's Chen Jun is still sharing life with Jiang Tianxue. His teammates urge him to stop, telling him to disconnect immediately. Otherwise, he might be killed too. Don't lose your life over this. Didn't you say you wanted to join the Nightingale squad? But Chen Jun's eyes were firm. If I can't even save a student, what right do I have to join the Nightingale squad? Zhong Yuan, standing nearby, felt a sense of déjà vu. It was like he'd seen this somewhere before. So this person was my sister's teammate in the medical corps in my past life. Back then, he fought alongside us against the alien races until the very end. He never retreated, not for a single second. All for that worthless man. He dragged such a good null energy user to his death. It was utterly unworthy. So I started by unfreezing him. That worthless man's dog life will be spared for now. Come back next time to get it. Then he turned and left. The guards looked confused. Why did he just leave? Should we chase him? Chase after him? Are you crazy? Do you want to die? Saving people is the priority. Zhong Yuan walked out of the school gate. Feng Qin, sitting on the wall in the distance, teased him. I thought Jiang Tianxue was definitely going to die today. I never expected you to show mercy at the last minute. Zhong Yuan said he was just tired, too lazy to fight anymore. But even a ghost wouldn't believe him. Feng Qin continued, because someone from the medical department cast a life-sharing spell on him. You don't want to hurt innocent people, do you? It's true that being kind gets you bullied. Zhong Yuan didn't bother responding anymore. He pulled out his phone to call a taxi, but found there was no signal at all. Let's join the Shandong business running team together, Feng Qin. Feng Qin was shocked by this. Run, big brother. Do you know how far it is from here to Qingying College? But Zhong Yuan just casually gestured. It's only 30 kilometers, a mere trifle. 30 kilometers. Big brother loves running, you run yourself. I'm not running anyway. I'll just use the satellite phone to call for help. Soon, they were sitting in the car heading back. But the atmosphere was rather awkward. The driver was a pretty older sister. She had come specifically to pick them up, but she hadn't said a word the whole way. Feng Qin, who had been called to pick them up, also didn't seem inclined to chat with him. Could it be because he felt like a third wheel in the car at that moment? The older sister seemed to have heard Zhong Yuan's thoughts. He turned his head and gave him a speechless look. After arriving at school, he didn't linger at all. He dropped the person off and drove away. Zhong Yuan said jokingly, I really didn't expect that you actually have a rich woman behind you. Feng Qin quickly explained. It's not what you think. That's not some rich woman. She's just a friend of my mom's. You wouldn't happen to have a crush on her, would you? Zhong Yuan remained speechless. Not to that extent. Then he said it was getting late, and that she had to go to sleep. Saying this, she turned to leave. Feng Qin quickly stopped him. You're directionally challenged. Your dorm is this way. That's the solitary confinement room. He was going the wrong way, but unexpectedly, Zhong Yuan said he was going to the solitary confinement room. At these words, Feng Qin was completely baffled. She really couldn't understand what Zhong Yuan was up to. The man had an 800 square meter villa, but he didn't live there. But I have to run to a cell specifically for holding prisoners. Zhong Yuan was speechless looking at Feng Qin, who followed him to the confinement room. I said, President Feng, I came here to sleep. Why did you follow me here? With those two eyes glowing blue. You look like a nightlight. Feng Qin explained. He said this is a precaution. What if Zhong Yuan falls asleep and becomes unresponsive like a dead person? He won't wake up no matter how much you call him. It'll be troublesome then. Why don't you give your sister, Zhonglan, a heads up first? Hearing this, Zhong Yuan sat up abruptly. It's already past 1 a.m. He's already asleep. And I guess he doesn't really want to see me these past couple of days. Because my younger sister has always been very strong-willed. Every time she lost a competition, she would hide away and cry by herself. She wouldn't let her brother see how unwilling she was to accept defeat, no matter what. Then Zhong Yuan remembered Feng Qin's special training for her. With a sharp look, he realized his sister had secretly asked Feng Qin for special training. He wouldn't interfere with that. But it's best not to teach her anything strange. Otherwise, Feng Qin suddenly felt a chill down her spine. Rest assured, I still have my principles. What's more, with a brother like you, I wouldn't dare act recklessly. Zhong Yuan was finally relieved. Then he lay back. Just in case, let's do a test run on this sleeping thing. I'll take a 5-minute nap. Try to wake me up. Feng Qin watched Zhong Yuan fall asleep instantly, speechless. It seems tonight's battle really wore him out. She then waited quietly beside him. After a few minutes, he started doing it again. Zhong Yuan, your sister was beaten up by people from Hualin Academy. But Zhong Yuan on the bed didn't move a muscle. This trick didn't work. He's lying there like a corpse. Feng Qin started to panic. Jiang Tianxue kidnapped your sister. Yuan, I was beaten up by people from Hualin Academy. Wake up. Lin Dongliang is calling again. Your sister absorbed the void gold. Yuan, wake up quickly. Lon Lon wants to elope with me, but no matter what he tries, the Central Plains remains completely still. That's strange. This trick doesn't work. Could it be that even when he's asleep, he can still judge the truth of things? No, I have to find a way to help him. He's an anomaly. I'm an anomaly too. It's so hard to find someone like me. I absolutely cannot let anything happen to him. Meanwhile, in a top-tier private hospital in China, Choi Songshir, nicknamed Little Kimchi, is lying in the medical ward wearing an oxygen mask. Outside the isolation glass, a doctor is apologizing to a middle-aged woman. Madam, I am truly sorry. We have done everything we can, but your son hasn't woken up yet. It's highly likely that he was subjected to a psychic attack by a null. We are unable to undo Winyans. The woman's face was serious. My son is the key to my control over the Choi family. He absolutely cannot have anything happen to him. Those two useless fools from South Korea's medical system are completely useless at a critical moment. Then, suddenly, I had a flash of inspiration. That's right. China has a special agency that regulates criminals with psionic abilities, the Virtual Control Bureau. I can use South Korea's name to put pressure on them. Let them find China's best psionic to save the person. Faye strode out of the hospital. Chingying College's girls' dormitory. At this moment, Jiang Siyuan's phone suddenly rang. Still busy at her computer, she picked up the phone and said grumpily, "Little brother, don't you know what time it is? Calling me now? Don't tell me you got drunk and got into a fight." "Right, about that girl with long, black, straight hair you asked me to help you find last time. I went through the files of every female student in the whole school and couldn't find her." But on the other end of the phone, Jiang Tianxua just held his bandage-wrapped forehead, and said there was no need to look anymore. He already knew who it was. Jiang Siyuan was puzzled. He himself had hacked into the school's database and searched several times, yet he couldn't find who this person was who had completely captivated his younger brother. Jiang Tianxua explained sadly, that person's name is Zhong Yuan. He's an auditor from the special class. That name sounds familiar. Right, isn't that the disciplinary committee member that the school belle, Su Weiniang, was looking for a few days ago? So he hacked into the school's database again to retrieve Zhong Yuan's information. But the photo shows a boy. Could it be that my younger brother actually likes boys? My Fujoshi soul burns again. Then he put Zhong Yuan's photo into the software. Only after adding long hair did he realize. No wonder he could charm his younger brother so completely. This pure, delicate, long black straight hair. Who wouldn't be captivated? He sent the picture to Jiang Tianxua to have him confirm it. I just opened the photo. Jiang Tianxua's face instantly flushed. He was so calm. What on earth am I thinking? This is a guy. But this photo is so handsome. Let me set it as my screensaver. I'll just pretend I'm a fan. Yes, that's right. It's after I started chasing stars. He then asked his older sister if she had any other photos. But unexpectedly, Jiang Siyuan opened his mouth wide, demanding 500,000 renminbi for one photo. Cash on delivery. Goods for cash. No credit. Jiang Tianxua, wealthy and extravagant, didn't hesitate. And immediately transferred him 5 small targets. He also said to send him 100 first. This man, once asleep, would not wake even if a war broke out next to his ear. But once he heard his sister's voice, he would immediately get up. Inside the girls' dormitory that morning, a ray of sunlight fell on Zhongluan's bedside, accompanied by the alarm clock. He awoke from his sleep. He yawned. After stretching, he almost jumped out of his skin at his reflection in the mirror. Because he lost the martial arts competition yesterday, and cried for half a day. My big, expressive eyes are swollen like a goldfish's. I can't go out and see anyone like this. Suddenly, a phone beside me rang. It's a call from Feng Qin, the student council president. Zhong Lan was taken aback. She called me so early in the morning. Could something have happened to my brother? After answering the call, he quickly asked. Feng Qin explained. Her brother was fine. He just had some allergic reactions after the rabies vaccine. He needed to stay in the hospital for observation for a few days. Zhong Nanwenyan, only 12 years old, was full of question marks. What is an allergy? Is it serious? Feng Qin continued to explain. This, you'll learn in a couple of years. Anyway, your brother is fine. It's just that he's sleeping very soundly now. He won't wake up no matter how you call him. Zhong Lan said. That her brother has always been like this. Once he falls asleep, it's very difficult to wake him up. But how would he know? Last night, Feng Qin tried everything to wake Zhong Yuan. She used every trick she knew. But he still lay there stiffly, without so much as a twitch. So he suggested Zhong Lan try to call Zhong Yuan like she does at home. Brother, wake up. My bottom's getting sunburned. Get up and make me breakfast. I didn't expect that to actually work. Zhong Yuan immediately opened his eyes. In a daze, he asked what kind of breakfast was wanted. He got up immediately to make it. Hearing her brother wake up on the other end of the phone, Zhong Lan's face lit up with excitement. My silly older brother is still half asleep. He's still in the hospital. How can he make me breakfast? Go and get some rest. For the next couple of days, he'll manage himself. Don't worry about him. He's already made plans to eat with his roommate. After hanging up the phone, Zhong Yuan was surprised that Feng Qin called his sister so late at night. He had only closed his eyes for a few minutes. Feng Qin didn't explain much, but handed him the phone to look at himself. After seeing the time, Zhong Yuan looked completely incredulous. How is this possible? I feel like I only slept for a minute or two. How is it already morning? Feng Qin adjusted her glasses, with a look that suggested she understood everything. I guess your sense of time is different from other people's. I'll edit the phone recording from just now. I'll send it to you as an alarm. Unexpectedly, the next second, I was lying back in bed again. The alarm is set. I'll have a little lie-in first, just in case the alarm doesn't work. Think of other ways. Then I fell back asleep. Lu Fengqin was alone, feeling anxious and flustered. Meanwhile, in the commander's office, blood vessels, Bureau Director Wang Pedi and Commander Nguanfeng were sitting opposite each other. Wang Pedi said, "Commander, you wouldn't have fallen for the Central Plains' cutesy tactics, would you?" At these words, Nguanfeng nearly choked on his water. He then laughed uncontrollably, but Wang Pedi wore a worried expression. "Stop laughing. I'm serious. The Central Plains file issue kept me up all night. The little Kimchi from the land of morning calm was beaten up by Central Plains. His old mother even went to the Vascular Bureau to complain, and they're constantly finding new ways to pressure us. When the people in the Bureau saw Central Plains file, wow! Top secret clearance. Even I, the director, don't have the authority to access it. With great difficulty, I managed to get a look, only to find out he actually obtained the cuteness skill. Commanderin, don't tell me you didn't know that hunting cuteness bears is prohibited. And you also know how low the success rate of absorbing the cuteness skill is. Zhong Yuan, that kid possessing the cuteness skill, is itself highly suspicious. But Nguanfeng simply and easily said, I know all this. There's nothing wrong with the conclusion. And compared to this small matter, when Zhong Yuan and Shangguan fought, the ability similar to Guihao Wang Huan's tenfold return ability he used, is what we should really be concerned about. His expression then instantly turned serious. Zhong Yuan's strength is far more than what's shown in the files. I've made my decision. I want to recommend him to Juku. So I hope Bureau Chief Wang will grant this. Please don't add a blemish to his personal record. A small interview from a tiny kimchi country dared to issue verbal threats to our great nation. Yet, the next second, they were slapped in the face. Inside China's top private hospital, Zayapaka's mother wept uncontrollably. The attendants nearby quickly comforted the madam. We have already lodged a protest with China. Wait until they start work tomorrow. They will certainly give you a satisfactory reply. But the madam sharply rebuked them. You don't understand a thing. It must be done today. China's response is needed within 24 hours. Time's up. Even Hua Tuo himself couldn't save him now. Just then, the ward door opened. Two people with firm steps walked in. An attendant asked who they were. The shorter one introduced them, saying they were from the Huagua military district. This is Commander Nguanfeng. I heard someone from South Korea was injured, so I came to offer my condolences. The woman was overjoyed at the news. The commander himself came. It seems his use of the Chaeble's protest room worked. She then described the unconscious South Korean child lying in bed, and she urgently requested that Nguanfeng immediately arrange for treatment, as requested several days ago. Qin Ganfeng, however, wasn't in a hurry to reply. He activated his perception skill. After observing for a moment, he asked the woman how many abilities Xiao Pakai possessed in total. The woman haughtily replied, 3. One of them is a skill unique to your country. Mimicry. This child's reflection on the mimicry skill. He only has 3 abilities, but simulating the brains of those with more than that number causes continuous psionic damage. That's why it's like this now. At these words, the woman suddenly knelt down. Commanderin, please immediately arrange for that Su to come and rescue us. We can pay any amount of money. But Nguanfeng wasn't having it. It's not about the money. You should have seen the surveillance footage of them looking down on you. Cui Xingshi had already lost, but he still tried to use a simulation skill to ambush. He ended up suffering a backlash. What goes around comes around. He deserved it. We, China, are not responsible. The woman, furious, blazed with anger. Don't you know what you've done? He's backed by the powerful and secretive Semida country, the Cui family conglomerate, whose influence is boundless. You can't afford to offend them. But Nguanfeng remained unfazed. But do you know what's behind Zhong Yuan? The rich man looked bewildered. He pretended not to know. Immediately, Nguanfeng was about to turn and leave. Before leaving, he responded with authority, behind Zhong Yuan is the whole of Huagua. Then he walked straight out. Lu Xiaopakai and the others were stunned, helpless. On the elevator, Nguanfeng said that this Xiaopakai is easy to deal with. Jiang Tianxua is the real trouble. The aide expressed confusion. Didn't Jiang Tianxua say he wouldn't pursue it? And Nguanfeng explained that this is where the trouble lies. The Jiang boy said he likes Zhong Yuan's younger sister. Now, his attitude clearly shows he doesn't want to give up his pursuit. By the way, aide, go buy a copy of the criminal code later. Give him a good beating. Should that be a physical beating or a mental one? A mixed doubles. The next morning, Zhong Yuan, his sister, and Feng Qin were walking to the dining hall. Lan Lan, you're still growing. You should sleep in more in the mornings. The kitchen in my dorm will be installed tomorrow. From now on, I'll just make breakfast and bring it to you. But Zhonglan shook her head and refused. Zhong Yuan was confused. Could it be that his sister disliked the breakfast he made? Zhonglan quickly explained that it wasn't like that. Brother's breakfast is the best. But if brother gets up so early every day to make breakfast for me, he'll be very tired. The school cafeteria's breakfast options are both plentiful and delicious. He also wants to take his older brother to try them. Zhong Yuan, at this moment, though he lacked a sense of taste, felt a slight sweetness in his heart. He affectionately stroked his younger sister's head. Suddenly, in the distance, someone rushed towards them, carrying a steamer. This person was none other than Shangguan Yin, who had just experienced the pain of losing his arm yesterday. After seeing the newcomer's appearance, Zhong Yuan became alert. He thought that Shangguan wouldn't use a long-range attack with a burning attribute against them, so he immediately assumed a defensive stance, shielding his sister behind him. But unexpectedly, after coming before them, he suddenly knelt down with a thud, and respectfully presented. The steamer basket is opened. Your Xilong Bayo. Wang Wang, bewildered, was shocked when he saw this. My God, there's a strange person at the cafeteria entrance proposing to my brother with a big steamer basket of buns. Feng Qinwen next to him quickly explained, Xialanlan. That's your dog. If it weren't for you, he would have been a crippled dog long ago. He's the school's arrogant and domineering young master, yet he willingly serves as a servant to an auditor. As Zhong Yuan's group approached the cafeteria, Shangguan Yi ran towards them, carrying a special steamer basket of baozi. Then he immediately knelt down on both knees, respectfully presenting the baozi to Zhong Lan as a special offering for his master. In the cafeteria, Shangguan Yi sat in a corner, trembling with fear and not daring to speak. Zhong Lan devoured the entire steamer basket of baozi. Wow! The big steamed buns Shangguan Gage sent are so delicious. Then, I started acting spoiled with Zhong Yuan. I feel a little bad for treating him like a dog. You should let him be a person. Shangguan, upon hearing this, quickly explained, it's okay. I think being a dog is pretty good too. Wang Wang saw Gage didn't say anything. Zhong Lan got up and came behind him. She untied the hair tie from his hair. Then she started to playfully mess with his flowing long hair. You see, although my brother doesn't smile much, he's a really great person. Zhong Yuan didn't show any displeasure at this. A doting smile spread across his face. He looked up at Shangguan Yi. I told you not to be afraid, so don't be afraid. Shangguan Yi, with his bookish demeanor, almost peed his pants. He stammered, I understand, I understand. Zhong Yuan is the kindest, gentlest person in the world, but one must have a sense of awe. After tying her brother's hair into a pretty girl's hairstyle, Zhong Lan made a satisfied victory gesture. Status change activated. Brother, be gentle and sweet all day today. Don't bully your classmates. Zhong Yuan immediately got up and chased after Zhong Lan. The effect of the status swap is to exchange each other's states. Lan Lan's hairstyle needs to change too. I don't want to. I absolutely don't want to. Watching the brother and sister playfully fighting like children, Feng Qin and Shangguan Yi felt ashamed. Who would have thought that the Central Plains, which makes people tremble with fear, would have this face in front of his younger sister? It's simply too childish. Meanwhile, not far away, someone was holding up a phone and taking crazy photos of Zhong Yuan. So it's Jiang Tianshua's twin sister. He was overjoyed. A single draw, an SSR. The price he sold Zhong Yuan to his younger brother, it's gotta be an ultimate destiny. A 448% super amplification. Then he edited the photos on his phone. Changed the outfit, added beauty filters. The originally strong and gentle Zhong Yuan. In an instant, she transformed into a pure and lovely young lady. Shortly after, in the classroom, the head teacher pointed to Shangguan Yi next to her, announcing the latest notice. Students whose academic scores fall below 85 will not be allowed to graduate, nor will they be able to participate in the college league. So students who are not doing well academically, please work harder. Otherwise, you'll end up like this classmate, forced to repeat a year. Because Zhong Lan is a special enrollment student, and he's still young, so he doesn't need to take the same cultural classes as others. He'll have a private tutor. So Shangguan Yi was arranged to his original seat, next to Zhong Yuan. Facing Zhong Yuan's terrifying aura, Shangguan Yi was so scared he broke out in a cold sweat. He watched the teacher on the podium, lecturing enthusiastically. He felt a nagging doubt in his heart. What's supply air exhaustion? What the heck is this? I'm a repeat student, I don't understand any of this. The headmaster said Zhong Yuan is a top student, so if I ask him questions, will I get beaten to death? Right, Miss Zhonglan switched him to gentle mode this morning. Why don't we try? A smile brighter than the afternoon sun immediately appeared on his face. He turned to ask his classmate Zhong Yuan, could you teach me how to solve this problem? Zhong Yuan was completely dumbfounded by this sudden action. Then he began to explain the solution. Shangguan was incredibly moved by the response. Thank God, he actually agreed to teach me. And he's so gentle when he's focused. Zhou Yuan noticed his inattention. He whispered to ask if he was listening. Shang Guanyi quickly responded. Seeing this scene, the head teacher showed a relieved smile. I never thought Shang Guanyi would actually go and ask for help directly. Well, that's a way of studying, I guess. Let him be. But unfortunately, he spent the last few years just playing around. His foundation is really too weak. Zhou Yuan only taught him for 10 minutes, and he already ran out of patience. 5 times. Are you a pig? You've asked the same question 5 times. Then, she slowly tied up her hair. Her eyes sharpened. I'll teach you one last time. If you still can't do it, I'll kill you. Then she elbowed him. It's over, it's all over. Her gentle demeanor was gone. Now I'm doomed. But misfortune never comes singly. The next moment, he was actually called on by the teacher to go to the blackboard to solve a problem. He stood at the blackboard, and could feel the teacher's sharp gaze like a knife. After tremblingly writing down the answer, he hurriedly returned to his seat. Luckily, the answer was correct in the end. Zhong Yuan slowly lowered his fist, as big as a sandbag. Shang Guanyi was so scared that he was breaking out in a cold sweat. Did I just walk past the gates of hell? Why do I feel like I'm about to die? She's only a 12-year-old girl, yet she beat an 18-year-old high school student until he cried. After school, Zhong Yuan and Feng Qin were walking back to the dormitory. Strange, why haven't I seen you with Lan Lan after school today? Zhong Yuan looked melancholic. My little sister will be receiving individual tutoring in cultural studies starting today. From now on, I'll basically only see her in the dining hall. He's also slowly growing up and starting to not need his brother's company. Then he thought, these past few days have been too peaceful. Logically speaking, after beating up those people from Hualin Academy that day, they should have come to cause trouble. Feng Qin explains, they did come. But the old fox handled them. Zhong Yuan's mistake. Why is it Commander? And again, Feng Qin speculates. It's 80% likely he has his eye on Zhong Yuan's abilities. Like Lin Dongliang, they want to trick him into the military zone to serve them. It seems they're not all the same. Lin Dongliang initially used his car accident to coax and deceive his underage sister onto the battlefield. But Commander N doesn't make any demands of me. I wonder what his game is. Feng Qin said, whatever. Let's just deal with it as it comes. Forget that for now. Let me show you something. He then handed his phone to Zhong Yuan. It's a Huawei Esper, ranked 137th on the youth list. At this moment, Feng Qin was congratulating herself on her wise decision. Haha, how is it? Are you happy with the names this time? Both names made the list. From now on, if you want to be Xianming, be Xianming. If you want to be edgy, be edgy. But he didn't notice. Zhong Yuan's face was dark at that moment, full of black lines. No sooner had the words left his mouth, there was a loud bang. A bun-sized lump appeared on his head. Feng Qin, who had received a blow, quickly made a phone call. Not 2, it's Yuan. The character for 2 has a short stroke and a hook underneath. Yes, 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 it's Zhong Yuan, Mid-Autumn Festival. You guys are so careless. They even misspelled my name. It's outrageous. After hanging up, he touched his throbbing head and reminded himself. Zhong Yuan, now that his real name is on the list, it means he's officially stepped into the public eye, and with that comes a constant stream of trouble. He reminded himself, he needs to be mentally prepared at all times. In the school's training ground, Zhong Lan is training hard under Feng Qin's guidance. Shang Guanyi, who lost the bet, is quietly squatting in the corner, like a docile kitten. He hits the punching bag with all his might, occasionally turning his head to ask Feng Qin if his movements are correct. Feng Qin praises him with a look of satisfaction, saying he learns much faster than his brother. Recalling the time she trained Zhong Yuan, that unbearably bitter scene is still vividly in my mind. When Yan's Zhonglan swung her weapon even more vigorously, I want to surpass him secretly, before my brother finds out. Then Feng Qin finally remembered Shang Guanyin crouching in the corner. She walked behind him, and mischievously put cute bunny ears on him. Shang Guan Wang Wang, go and try a couple of moves with Lan Lan. Shang Guanyi, who spoke in classical Chinese, was flattered. That's not very good, is it? What if we bump into each other? My life would be in danger. But Feng Qin patted him on the shoulder and comforted him, saying not to worry. Don't be afraid of getting hurt. I'm here. Go ahead, give it your all. Only then did Shang Guanyi finally relax. He then walked to the center of the training ground. He assumed a fighting stance facing Zhong Lan. Then I'll go upstairs. Miss Zhong Yuan, please be careful. That night, Zhong Yuan was diligently studying in her dormitory. Suddenly, the doorbell rang. He got up questioningly to open the door. This late at night, who on earth could it be? The door had just opened, when a dark figure swiftly wrapped its arms around his legs. Nakahara-kun, please, I beg you to teach me. I want to become stronger. This series of actions completely baffled Zhong Yuan. What exactly happened? I gave you the illusion that I would teach you. Unexpectedly, Shangguan cried even more vehemently. I know, you're just as Miss Zhong Yuan said. She's a super nice person. Shushue submitted it 5 times before getting angry, but Zhong Yuan clearly didn't want to pay me any attention. It's not good at all. He was also super angry, but Shang Wanyi still clung to him like a leech. I was wrong, I really know I was wrong. I'm sorry, Zhong Yuan. I was arrogant and overbearing. I didn't recognize Mount Tai, and I even dared to challenge you. Your discrimination is pathetic. You can't even beat Miss Zhong Lan. Hearing his sister's name, Zhong Yuan felt a sudden chill. Shang Wanyi, who was still dizzy from being thrown around, asked, "Did you fight Lan Lan?" The grandnephew of the prestigious Qingyin Academy's principal. He actually knelt before an audience member, and begged him to train him. Feng Qin asked Shang Wanyi to be Zhong Lan's sparring partner. He was originally worried about accidentally injuring Zhong Lan, but unexpectedly, he was beaten up dozens of times by Zhong Lan. He was completely defenseless. If this continues, I won't even qualify to be your lucky mascot. I don't want this. I want to become stronger. Please, Zhong Yuan classmate, I can endure hardship. I'll do anything you say. After careful consideration, Zhong Yuan finally agreed to his request. Actually, his goal is quite simple. Since he's acting as a sparring partner for his sister, his abilities can't be too weak. Secondly, he can also help him monitor his sister, preventing Feng Qin from leading her astray. When Yan Shangwanyi was overwhelmed with gratitude, "I will not fail you. Can we start training now? Aren't you afraid of dropping dead in the middle of the night? As long as I don't die, I'll train until I do." The improvement of a psionicist mainly lies in several aspects: physical fitness, fighting skills, mental strength, and the efficiency of ability usage. And Shang Wanyi's foundation wasn't bad to begin with. If Zhong Yuan doesn't use his abilities, he really wouldn't be able to fight him. But if he uses his mastery of martial arts, I was also worried about accidentally killing him with one punch, so I could only start with blocking. I stood still. I let Shang Wanyi attack me with all his might, but after 2 hours of intense fighting, I didn't sense any improvement in Shang Wanyi's abilities. Instead, my mastery of hand-to-hand combat became increasingly proficient. I could precisely control my force to avoid killing him. The opponent's level. Shang Wanyi was crouching on the ground at this time, breathing heavily. Really couldn't fight anymore, but I felt like I had become stronger. Zhong Wenyan was astonished. Stronger? Don't be ridiculous. You didn't even touch the corner of my clothes. But Shang Wanyi slowly stood up, pointing at him and saying that before, I simply couldn't get you to move from your spot. But just now, you had to take a step. Your small step is a giant leap for me. My goal this month is to get you to move 1 meter from your original spot. Seeing this, Zhong Yuan felt relieved and delighted. Meanwhile, in a courtyard in District 9, Shanjing City, a middle-aged man and a beautiful woman sat facing each other. Lao Ba retired. The woman questioned what happened. Wasn't Lao Ba assisting the Virtual Management Bureau with a case? Yes, cross-border poaching cases have been frequent recently. It also unearthed clues to some old cases. Lao Ba was just about to begin his in-depth investigation, when he was severely injured. Ultimately, he missed the crucial window for treatment by several days. The other party seems to have a very high-level protector, and we suspect there's an inside man in our military district. But for now, it's just speculation. We lack reliable evidence. That leaves the 8th seat vacant. Do you have a suitable candidate to take over? And Guanfeng recommended someone to me. She's 16 years old this year. She's still studying at Qingyin Academy, but her skills are outstanding. Woman, surprised, could she be Feng Qin's classmate? Perhaps I've met her. Regardless, assessments are essential. It just so happens she's used her real name to get on the youth rankings these past 2 days. Let my rather useless student go and meet her then. The next day, within the City Music Academy, a man in military uniform finds Zhong Yuan. Hello, classmate. I am Yen Tu, captain of the Changfeng Squad, South China Military Region, 150th place on the youth rankings. I've come today because I heard about you. I challenge you to a ranking battle. Seeing this, the instructor next to them quickly explained to Zhong Yuan that you are currently ranked 137. If you don't accept the challenge, your rankings will be switched. For a difference of 13 places, I specifically traveled from South China to East China to challenge myself. This is clearly unreasonable. It seems that to know his purpose, I can only fight him. Zhong Yuan then accepted the challenge. The strongest tutor will show his true strength to everyone for the first time. Just how big of a ripple will it cause? Hello, Zhong Yuan. I am Yen Tua, captain of the Changfeng Squad, South China Military Region, ranked 150th on the youth leaderboard. I've come today, having heard of your reputation. I challenge you to a ranking battle. Zhong Yuan seems a little puzzled right now. For a mere 13 rank difference, to specifically travel from South China to East China to challenge myself. It's rather unusual. It seems that to find out his true intentions, I'll just have to play along. The training grounds boundaries have been set. No other students will disturb you. I will be the witness for this ranked battle. Are you ready? You can begin. Then Zhong Yuan and Yanto walked to the center of the arena. Assume a fighting stance. Zhong Yuan, aren't you going to use a weapon? Yanto raised his weapon and asked. Zhong Yuan simply waved his hand, indicating that your ranking is lower than mine. So I'll give you a head start with one arrow. Yanto didn't argue further. He swung his sword, aiming to strike Zhong Yuan, but Zhong Yuan easily dodged each blow. At that moment, he sensed something odd. This guy was only using swordsmanship, not his psionic abilities. I wonder what he's trying to protect. Isn't he a student of Chishu? He must have been sent by those people from the dilapidated courtyard to test Zhong Yuan's strength. Meanwhile, Shang Guanyi was shouting his lungs out in the distance. Central Plains, mighty. Central Plains, awe-inspiring. Central Plains, fighting spirit. Work hard. Hit them hard. Don't be afraid of hardship, don't be afraid of fatigue. Even if injured, we still have style. The atmosphere in the central arena gradually became tense. After the swordsmanship probe just now, Yentu discovered that the Central Plains' strength far exceeded his expectations. Only 137th place. Your ranking is low. Next, I'll get serious. He then distanced himself, leaping into the air, and unleashing his unique skill, wind swiftness. With the swing of his treasured sword, waves of sword energy assaulted the Central Plains, but each strike narrowly misses him. Zhong Yuan is somewhat puzzled. Could this guy be trying to show me his skills as a human outline master? While he's pondering this, suddenly Yan Tuo leaps up again. Classmate Zhong Yuan, you have to be careful. A double wind attack follows, with even more sword energy heading straight for Zhong Yuan. Yet, it still flew past him. So careful. Do you look down on me? After landing, Yan Tuo proudly declared, his sword could reach 18 strikes in 5 seconds. He was afraid that Zhong Yuan couldn't keep up, but Zhong Yuan was gradually losing patience. He loudly declared that there was no need to hold back. Let him use whatever killer move he has. Since that's the case, then I'll gladly accept your challenge. Immediately, he unleashed his ultimate move, Wulin Wind. Countless powerful sword energies crisscrossed, striking directly toward Central Plains. The angle was incredibly tricky. Wherever it passed, not even a fly survived. Cut into countless pieces, Zhong Yuan used his legs to spring. He leaped high into the air. Wow, he actually chose to fly. But my wind chimes will continue to attack for 3 seconds. He'll still get hit when he lands. No good, the wind is rising. Quick, use life sharing on him. Otherwise, he'd likely lose his life after landing. Feng Qin, however, was covered in cold sweat. What kind of international joke is this? Sharing a life with this bunch of dead men from Central Plains? Should I even bother living anymore? Seeing Feng Qin remain motionless, Yan Tuo was completely panicked. It's all over. This time, I've really made a huge mess. The teacher just sent him to test the waters. If he crippled Central Plains, he'd definitely face dire consequences upon his return. Just as he was thinking this, he suddenly realized the situation was wrong. Central Plains, still in mid-air, unexpectedly unleashed a militia skill, freezing everything around him, including his sword energy, into ice sculptures. At the same time, a group of people are walking straight towards the school from outside the gates. President, hurry up, just give the order, and we'll immediately take Zhong Yuan back to Hualin. Jiang Tianxua, who's leading the way, has a flushed face. Hualin is a respectable academy, wife of a bandit leader, and such. Don't go around saying such things. I just simply admire him. That's all. President, you don't need to explain. We all understand. Our main purpose in coming to Qingying today is to apologize to him. Poaching and such things all depend on fate. It can't be forced. A man facing 18 knives slashing towards him at 1 knife per second, but he merely leaped high. Yan Tuo, seeing this, panicked. What kind of joke is this? This guy wouldn't think that jumping up would solve everything, would he? You must know that my wind blade will continue to inflict damage for 3 seconds. Even if he jumps high, he'll still be hit when he lands. But unexpectedly, Zhong Yuan actually directly used the militia skill. He froze the surrounding air, along with the sword energy flying towards him, all into a block of ice. Then it slowly descended. The headmaster was astonished. Freezing the air can make him descend this slowly. Feng Qin also looked dumbfounded. Maybe he's just very light. This guy weighs next to nothing. I could lift him with one hand. It has surpassed human understanding. But Shang Guanyi questioned it. I'm not good at physics. Don't lie to me. The textbook says that the speed of free fall is not affected by weight at all. Since you say so, let me give you a little common sense lesson. The Central Plains froze the air above. The upper air cools and contracts, increasing its density, creating convection with the lower air. The wind resistance from the strong convection offsets some of his weight, reducing his descent speed. So the question is, what is Zhong Yuan's current landing speed? Wen Yan Shangguan also instantly broke down. Stop reading. I admit I'm a terrible student. Yan Tuo said. Zhong Yuan's self-devised method of breaking his own 5 consecutive wind attacks is indeed impressive, but the room temperature is already very low now, and he can't use the same move a second time. He immediately swung his sword again, using the strangulation skill. Countless sword energies swiftly flew towards Zhong Yuan, but unexpectedly, he dodged with a speed too fast for the eyes to follow. Unfortunately, I've already seen through your wind-connecting trajectory. The same move won't work on me again. Yen Tuo was shocked for the second time. He didn't expect Zhong Yuan's speed to be so fast. Simply by moving forward, he broke through my airtight technique. Stunned for a moment, Zhong Yuan had already disappeared from sight. He was seen leaping high, clenching his fist, about to attack Yanto. Yanto quickly used his wind arm. Tianjin, do you really think you can defeat me like this? But who would have thought? The next second, Zhong Yuan actually broke through his huge fist. It hit his face perfectly. After falling heavily to the ground, he staggered to his feet, but a confident smile appeared on his face. Zhong Yuan, you're truly strong, but you must be quite injured now. Blood splattered, Zhong Yuan slowly walked in front of him. Initiate regeneration. Heal my injured body. I have regeneration. Do you? If not, give up now. Call for healing. Iwato instantly spat out a mouthful of blood. Lucky call. His severely injured body conceded defeat. Seeing this, everyone rushed forward to congratulate him. He truly is the strongest high school student. Long live Zhong Yuan. Instructor Lu Wen, overcome with excitement, embraced Zhong Yuan tightly, almost suffocating him. Instructor, you're hugging me too tightly. I can barely breathe. Meanwhile, Feng Qin, who was treating Yen Tuo, had a mischievous look on her face. Yuan, I have reasonable doubts about the authenticity of your claim of being short of breath. The recovered Yen Tuo stood up and shook hands with Zhong Yuan in a friendly manner. He praised Zhong Yuan's strength and bearing, saying they were truly admirable. This sparring has benefited him greatly. Zhong Yuan also humbly stated that he, too, had learned a lot from this competition. Meanwhile, Jiang Tianxua and his group appeared before them. Everyone wondered how the school security guards were doing their jobs, allowing outsiders to enter the campus so easily. Your academy's security guards' resistance to superpowers needs improvement. Seeing Zhong Yuan shaking hands with Yentu, Jiang Tianxua felt both envious and jealous. Could it be that they just had a fight? Now they're shaking hands amicably. Then I started having an internal struggle to challenge the Central Plains. If you win, you can shake hands with him. No. Don't do that. You'll be beaten to death. Seeing this, a classmate quickly reminded him. President, what are you spacing out for? Hurry up and dig someone out. Jiang Tianhua finally came to his senses and walked in front of Zhong Yuan. Zhong Yuan, on behalf of Hualin Academy, I sincerely invite you to join us. We hope you will join our academy. As long as you come, you will receive a 30 million monthly scholarship. Furthermore, all cultivation resources and materials will be provided free of charge. In addition, after I graduate, you can directly become the next student council president. Your status will be equal to the principals, second only to the board of directors. Yen Tuo, standing not far away, watched everything with great interest. It's really interesting. Who wouldn't be tempted by such conditions? I wonder how Zhong Yuan will choose. His student is being poached by another school. But instead of getting angry, the instructor was overjoyed, and those who came to poach him ran away in fright. 10 minutes ago, a group from Hualin Academy used their superpowers to enter Chengying Academy and find Zhong Yuan. The student council president, Jiang Tianxua, even offered an exorbitant price. But faced with an offer no esper could refuse, Zhong Yuan refused without hesitation. At that moment, he thought to himself, if it weren't for all these people around, he would have torn Jiang Tianxua apart. Jiang Tianxua, can't you have some bottom line and principles? Don't think that just because you have some money, you can do whatever you want. Jiang Tianxua realized his oversight and carelessness. He'd just been interrupted by Qiu Ren, and he'd actually forgotten to apologize first. Immediately waved it off in denial. Zhong Yuan, I apologize for what happened before. It was all a misunderstanding. I thought I bumped into your sister around the corner that day. That's why I said I wanted to date your sister. But actually, I have no feelings for your sister whatsoever. Zhong Yuan pondered for a moment. It was I who had bumped into him at the corner that day, but I thought it was his sister. Suddenly realizing something was wrong, his brow furrowed. Then, anger flared. He sharply rebuked, I'll give you 3 seconds to disappear. Otherwise, I'll kill you all. They sensed an unprecedented killing intent from Zhong Yuan. The group from Hualin Academy hurriedly picked up Jiang Tianxua, who was still clueless, and ran away. Everyone present sighed. If Zhong Yuan had this kind of murderous aura during the written exam, Yen Tuo would have been finished long ago. These people from Hualin are too lawless. We must strengthen the school's security. We can't let them secretly snatch away Chengying's top students. Director Gu, you underestimate Zhong Yuan too much. He won't go to Hualing. Lu Wen then patted Zhong Yuan and asked, right, Zhong Yuan? At that moment, Zhong Yuan thought, if I transfer schools, my younger sister, Zhonglan, will definitely follow. Although Chengying Academy's school atmosphere isn't very good either, but at least it's better than Hualing, that thug, going to the polar regions. For my sister's physical and mental health, I absolutely cannot let her transfer schools, no matter how good the conditions are. On the way back to the dorm, Zhong Yuan asked Feng Qin if Yen Tuo, who came to challenge her, was his friend. Feng Qin wondered why he thought so. Zhong Yuan said it was because, when I treated him, I didn't hear Feng Qin say a single sarcastic word. We weren't friends. At most, just acquaintances who happened to live in the same building. But him coming to challenge this time shouldn't be considered a bad thing. But it can't be called a good thing either. Zhou Yuan saw him starting his rambling nonsense again. Quickly stop it. Forget it. Less trouble is better than more. Just leave him be. Meanwhile, at the hotel, Yen Tuo is writing the report on this challenge. Zhou Yuan's various abilities were all given high praise. In the conclusion, even his unusual body temperature and high attractiveness were written down. He considered for a moment, then. I've decided to delete these 2 lines. After all, it's normal for Central Plains soldiers with exceptional abilities to have unusual body temperatures, and one shouldn't judge people by their appearance. After finishing, he checked the mouse, submitted the report. Such a talent is truly rare and hard to find. As long as the higher-ups approve it, he's the candidate from District 9. Zhong Yuan was glum in the cafeteria. Zhong Lan quickly asked her brother why he was unhappy. It turned out that the golden coffin that had previously crushed him was going to be exhibited that week, but he was too late to see the news. So he couldn't get a ticket. You want to go to the Shanghai Museum to see the golden coffin? That's easy. Just take your ranking badge from the young virtuoso list and go. No appointment is needed to enter. Zhong Yuan was astonished. He never expected making the list would grant such privileges. Feng Qin continued, naturally, if you were to take a Xianming badge there, even chartering the whole place wouldn't be a problem. Zhong Yuan's face lit up with joy. Although chartering the whole place isn't very decent, but the golden coffin involves the secret of his rebirth. Therefore, it's best to be cautious. It's unbelievable. The sunny boy is actually going to participate in the college's beauty pageant. At this moment, Zhong Yuan and his group are having lunch in the school cafeteria. Because he didn't get a ticket to the Golden Crown event, Zhong Yuan seemed downcast. Seeing this, Feng Qin comforted him. That's easy. You just need to show them your ranking badge from the Young Achievers list to get direct entry. You can even have the place to yourself. Saying this, he picked up his phone and made a call. Mom, please arrange for the museum to be cleared. I'm counting on you. My good son has grown up. This is a first. To help someone else. Are you asking for my help? So, are you going to help or not? Of course I'll help. Last time, you had Dazaju send samples and, stolen things to school. It was for this junior of yours, right? Every message you've sent recently is all about him. Feng Qin was a little puzzled. What are you trying to say? It's nothing. I just want you to go back to Shangjing during Golden Week. Talk to Mom. Tell her about you, my junior. Feng Qin immediately flew into a rage. You didn't even ask me to go home for summer vacation. And now you're asking me, come clean. Has Uncle Chi's dilapidated courtyard claimed another victim? Desperately grabbing people for forced labor, huh? But Mom started selling coffins. I'll tell you when you get home. Meanwhile, in the office of a certain office building, a man is carefully reviewing Zhong Yuan's personal file, while making a video call. According to intelligence from 91, a person killed Robus in the Shenanjia area and took a certain kind of phantom from his body. It's that high school student named Zhong Yuan. That phantom, a kind of baleen whale, is either in his possession, or has been absorbed by him. Robu's only daughter, Joanna, has already relinquished her inheritance rights. Your current mission is to recover that baleen whale at all costs. This operation's codename is Nirvana. The man hung up the phone after realizing, Rob's daughter is really foolish. Children who absorb a false system of knowledge have an almost 100% success rate, and yet he gave up the opportunity to become a top-tier virtual energy user. All these years, he's been hiding in Huagua, running a company, providing protection and cover for the virtual energy users of Lighthouse Country. But recently, Huagua has started cracking down on foreign affairs. I estimate his company will eventually be exposed. So he planned to finish this job, and retire to Benin after receiving the bounty from the Lighthouse Country. But this mission wasn't as easy as he imagined. If Zhong Yuan hadn't absorbed that piece of false gold, it would have been fine. But if he had absorbed it, he'd have to be captured and imprisoned for a few years. Then, after he's exposed to a false alarm, they'd dig him out. But regardless, we can't just kill him. Then he discovered that the files showed he had a 12-year-old sister in central China. A sinister smile immediately appeared on his face. In that case, things just became much simpler. Meanwhile, in the coffee shop of the special class, Zhong Lan, visiting for the first time, found everything here extraordinarily curious. This is a third-grader maid. The coffee shop is beautifully decorated. The maid outfit is so cute too. Su Waning, wearing a maid outfit, asks Jiang Xiyuan what the master and miss would like to drink today. Coffee, tea, and juice are all available. Zhong Lan's face instantly darkens. So it's that ultimate wish. Suddenly, I don't find the maid outfit cute anymore. Zhong Yuan said, we'll just have a strawberry sparkling water and a strawberry cake. Zhong Lan looked worried upon hearing this. Brother, why are you only ordering things I like? You've always had a small appetite. Lately, you haven't even eaten half as much as me. This won't do. You'll wear yourself out. Then she placed the order with the maid. One more ice cream sundae, please. Mint and chocolate. Suddenly, she spotted Shangguan Yi standing not far away. Oh, brother Shangguan Yi is here too. She immediately took out her camera and started taking pictures of him frantically. Haha, sister Shangguan, you're stunning. A breathtaking beauty. You're sure to win this year's campus queen election. The strong Jiang Xiyuan quickly pulled out his phone. He had to say, to wear women's clothing, and participate in the school bell election. How could he miss out on the long, black, straight hair that captivated his younger brother? He immediately photoshopped a picture of Zhong Yuan into a girl, then posted it on the Chengying College School Bell Election Forum. At first glance, among the many girls, Zhong Yuan stood out. Sunny boy, just kept his waist-length hair. He was secretly photographed and posted to the school beauty contest page, and the number of votes far exceeded the female students of Chengying College, the national goddess. In the dorm, the upper bunk roommate exclaimed, "Oh my god," looking at the voting results on the contest forum. Everyone, look, what's the story with this long-haired girl? Wei Ning's position as school beauty might be unstable. Wei Ning paused, her pen hovering over the paper. They're all meaningless accolades, she murmured. Don't worry about them. She said this before rising and heading towards the training ground. Seeing this, a classmate couldn't help but exclaim, she's so driven. Even during the school anniversary, she's still training. The robust Jiang Xiyuan felt a pang of guilt. Although Wei Ning didn't say it, she must care about them deep down, he thought. Even she didn't expect that the photos of Zhong Yuan she secretly took would actually steal her best friend's title as campus queen. Immediately, she started furiously typing on the keyboard, planning to use her hacking skills to boost Su Weining's votes and stabilize the situation. Meanwhile, Zhong Yuan's brother and sister were walking on campus. Seeing his younger sister still in such thin clothing, he felt immense heartache. Lon Lon, it's autumn now. Even if you really like this outfit, you should change it. But Wenyan's Zhong Lon pouted, expressing her displeasure. Change into the children's clothes you bought me? Brother, I've grown up. I'm a mature lady now. I'm not going to wear your childish clothes. And I'm not going to wear those childish pigtails. Zhong Yuan Jianzhuang felt a pang of self-reproach. In his previous life, he was always busy working to support his family, often neglecting his sister. He overlooked the changes she went through as she grew up. He selfishly assumed she was still as gentle and weak as she was when she was a child. Who would have thought that 4 years later, she had become a battle-crazed girl? Perhaps this outcome wasn't accidental. After separating from her sister, she took a bus to the museum. On the bus, she kept pondering. Because she had nothing to do lately, he often went to the confinement room to sleep. Now his mental strength has increased considerably. The cooldown time for all skills has been reduced to 24 hours. There's no sign of it being shortened further for now. According to the timeline of my past life, fictional creatures will fall from the sky at the museum 4 years later, and giant claws and strange poison will appear. Even if my sister and I have changed our fates in this life, and a butterfly effect has been created, it shouldn't affect this event from happening. Ling Xia is researching the Golden Crown, and unpredictable situations might arise. He himself is always asleep. Just in case, it's safer to set my sister's voice as my phone ringtone. Just got off the bus. Curator Shi Ruiwen arrived with 2 attendants to greet me. Welcome. On behalf of all the staff at the Shandong City Museum, I welcome your arrival, and I want to assure you that all surveillance equipment has been shut down as requested. If needed, we can also arrange a dedicated guide for Mr. Zhong Yuan to provide a full explanation. But Mr. Zhong Yuan decisively refused. He said he could go in alone. As soon as he entered the museum, he saw a huge golden coffin in the center of the hall. He examined it carefully, but saw nothing unusual. No matter how he looked, it was still the same as before his reincarnation. The wheat and the main body were perfectly joined, and he couldn't detect what was inside. He then reached out and gently touched the closure, thinking that touching it shouldn't be a problem. But the next second, a purple vortex appeared between his fingers. He was astonished. What on earth was going on? But before he could react, he instantly disappeared from the spot. It was supposed to be the school beauty pageant, but the students were all voting for a boy. Some people even offered huge rewards to get votes for him. Looking at the contestant photos on the screen, Xiao Ren exclaimed, "No way. How come even Shangguan is participating in the school beauty contest?" Chengying Academy's ideology is truly progressive. It's simply a model of unconventionality. Meanwhile, Jiang Tianxua blushed and took out his phone. This is too unbelievable. I'm going to vote for Zhong Yuan. Looking at the voting page, he suddenly noticed something amiss. How come Su Weining's votes are more than Qingying's total number of votes? Immediately, he became furious. You, Su Weining, you actually dared to stuff the ballot box. He immediately mobilized everyone in Hualin to vote for Zhong Yuan. 1 credit for the festival will be awarded for every 100 votes gained. Then they carried the cake, and planned to find Zhong Lan. President, won't this seem too deliberate? What if we end up making things worse? But Jiang Tianxua was full of confidence. I'm 70% sure. Exclusive information. Zhong Yuan is extremely secretive. He personally likes chocolate and mint ice cream, but his sister prefers strawberry cake. Let's win his sister's favor first. Then, we'll use him to poach from Zhonghuan. During the conversation, a figure suddenly flashed past behind them at high speed. The speed was so fast that many people didn't even notice it, but it couldn't escape Jiang Tianshua's sharp observation. Just walk. He even had to use virtual energy. Immediately afterward, he used his Xia Yuan power, and shouted, "Come out." The misuse of virtual energy is prohibited on campus. Don't you know that? The chill person beside Jian Zhuang quickly stopped him. President, this is Cheng Ying. It's not Hua Lin. It's none of our business, right? Jiang Tianxua, upon hearing this, looked embarrassed. Sorry, I forgot for a moment. Looking at the person in camouflage uniform in front of him, he was puzzled. How strange. This person, fully armed, doesn't look like he's here for the school anniversary celebration at all. He looks more like a dangerous person. The man angrily roared at him, "What do you want? The play is about to begin. I'm going to be late." Without waiting for Jiang Tianxua to react, he turned and ran forward. A moment later, the man pulled out a walkie-talkie. Invisible man calling chameleon. I was just spotted by 2 students. Although I managed to deceive them, the possibility of exposure can't be ruled out. The other end is staring intently at the surveillance screen. Wan Kong, name, is scolding. How could you be so careless? That person's ability perfectly counters mine. Meanwhile, Li Mingji, codenamed Super Soldier, outside the walls, inquired about the situation on the other side. He reported that his side was ready. He had brought the entire academy into the room. On the other side, a woman standing on the wall, codenamed Black Widow, stated that she had encountered a problem. She didn't know what got into the male students of the academy. They weren't attending the school anniversary celebrations. They were running around like locusts, pulling banners everywhere. I can't find a good opportunity to strike. When Yan's Wan Kai quickly changed tactics, he told them to distribute free, poisoned milk tea at the school gate. First, attract everyone over. Soon, Black Widow set up a milk tea stall. She called out to passing students to come and try it. In less than 10 minutes, students came to get free milk tea and formed a long queue. Meanwhile, Jiang Tianxua and his companions also found Zhong Lan. "Hello, classmate. My name is Jiang Tianxua. I'm a friend of your brother's. I wanted to visit him during the school anniversary." He then offered the cake in his hand. Zhong Lan looked at the exquisite packaging in his hand. Saliva unconsciously dripped from the corner of my mouth. So he's my brother's friend. He went to the museum today. He might be back very late. Why don't you guys play at school for a while? Let me tell you something. The drama club's performance was amazing. It's a pity that the final performance was yesterday. Jiang Tianxua, speaking in classical Chinese, sensed something was wrong. What? We just heard that a college with thousands of students was attacked by a terrorist organization, and their only goal was to capture a 12-year-old girl. Hearing Zhong Lan say that the play ended yesterday, Jiang Tian felt a sense of foreboding. Because the invisible man they encountered earlier clearly said he was rushing to see the play, he quickly asked Xiu Ren to call the school leaders for help. But unexpectedly, his phone had no signal. He then realized why no one else had noticed anything. Because the academy, currently within the boundary, was just like the real world. The sun still rose and set. He guessed this must be foreign technology. Meanwhile, the Black Widow was wandering around with a cup of milk tea. Target identified, Zhong Lan. Location, cafeteria entrance. Instructions received via radio. He was instructed to stall the opponent as long as possible. Reinforcements are on their way. He immediately strode directly towards Zhong Lan. Then he unleashed a psychic attack on nearby students. They magnify their negative thoughts, keeping them somewhat under their control. Then they use their cunning skills to create intense hallucinations in their target. The controlled students' eyes glaze over instantly. The next second, a ferocious expression appears on their face as they approach Zhong Lan step by step. A low, eerie voice emanates from their mouth. Such a cute little girl. Her cries must be beautiful. More and more controlled students gathered towards Zhong Lan. Xiu Ren quickly shielded him. If Zhong Yuan knew his precious sister was injured beside me, he'd flay me alive. Jiang Tianxua also noticed the students' unusual behavior. He guessed they were under some kind of mind control. Immediately, he asked Xiu Ren to use his Chun release their control, but it had no effect whatsoever, because the person controlling these students had a higher ability level than him. So, as soon as the control was lifted, it was immediately reimposed. The girl with long, straight black hair. "I'm here, he. Jiang Tianxua could no longer hesitate. Although the ones being controlled are all innocent classmates, but if I don't intervene, the consequences will be unimaginable. I was just about to step forward, but unexpectedly, Zhong Lan behind me charged forward first, spinning and leaping, a 360-degree spinning backflip kick, directly sending the classmates in front sprawling. Then he even said that Jiang Tianxua and the others should go first, that he would stay behind to deal with these irrational classmates. Xiu Ren, seeing this, was shocked. He never expected that 12-year-old Zhong Lan would be so fierce. Jiang Tianxua felt embarrassed. Sure enough, like brother, like sister. This is simply a raging girl warrior. Then they also walked to Zhonglan's side. Thank you, little Zhonglan. But Qiuran and I aren't so weak that we need you, a child, to fight alone. Immediately, he activated his magnetic power. 3 times gravity. A loud boom was heard. All the classmates in front of him seemed to be hit by a heavy object. They instantly fell to the ground, along with the beautifully packaged cake in Zhonglan's arms. Under the influence of 3 times the gravity, almost fell. Seeing that the cake wasn't light, little foodie Zhonglan quickly crouched down and hugged the gift box tightly. Big brother is so amazing. He knocked the enemy down in one go. But the cake. Tears began to flow down like a waterfall. Seeing this, Jiang Tianxua quickly comforted Zhonglan, telling her not to cry. I'll buy you 100 more later. Then they rushed out of the crowd. They headed towards the broadcasting room, to inform all the teachers and students in the school via broadcast. Suddenly, a figure rapidly attacked Jiang Tianxua. He felt like he had been hit by a train. My body was flung back over 10 meters. The assassin is nearby. Everyone, don't leave me. After I fell to the ground, the magnetic field range. Qiuran quickly activated the healing wind skill to treat me. Zhonglan knelt behind me, her face full of worry. Just then, a voice came from ahead. To try to cast healing spells is simply a dream. Following the sound, I looked. That person was the culprit. Lan Kai came before everyone. He directly cast a sealing skill. He sealed Qiuran's healing spells. A dangerous incident occurred at the academy. Chaos reigns. The crowd resisted, only to be ambushed. Severely wounded. In this crisis, my healing abilities are sealed again. The Central Plains #1 fanboy is about to meet his end. Give up resisting. Young man, perhaps I can show mercy and spare your life. There's no cure for you. These nails won't hold. The intense pain racking his body contorted Jiang Tianshua's face further. Zhonglan, I'll hold them off. You go to the broadcast room and call for help. But Zhonglan behind him said that she would absolutely never abandon her companions. Suddenly, he remembered his phone was a satellite phone. There should still be a signal. Maybe we can call for backup. The current situation is quite serious. We're facing more than 1 or 2 powerful enemies. Even if they are individually strong, it's hard for them to show their full advantage. So the best person to call for help should be Lin Dongyang, who's in the military district and can call in more reinforcements at any time. But at this moment, Captain Lin is in a meeting. After his phone rang, he only picked it up to check. Seeing it was Zhonglan, he chose not to answer. Because of what happened between him and Zhong Yuan earlier, he was still brooding over it. Then he hung up directly. He guessed it wasn't anything important anyway. I'll call back after the meeting. But he never expected that Zhonglan on the other end of the phone was practically beside herself with anxiety. Hearing the "cannot connect" message on his phone, his expression instantly turned grave. He tried calling several more times, but still couldn't get through. Seeing how anxious he was, Ruan Kai, in a triumphant and condescending manner, mocked the child for his lack of common sense. How is it possible to make a phone call inside the restricted area? Finally, having no other choice, pressed for time and burdened with a heavy task, he had to call his brother. Just then, Jiang Tianshua's condition worsened. With a cough, half a pound of tomato juice sprayed directly from his mouth. But even after contacting his brother, it would still take time for rescue to arrive. Looking at Jiang Tianxua, who was squatting on the ground and vomiting 2.5 pounds of tomato juice, Zhonglan was also worried. To survive, he could only think of a way to deal with the person who activated the sealing skill first. So he handed the phone, which was still connecting, to Qiuran. He knew his brother would answer. Tell Qiuran, once the call connects, to have his brother call for backup. Then he turned and sprinted towards Ruan Kai. At that moment, he recalled the deadly technique Feng Qin had taught him, when facing an enemy far stronger than oneself. Don't be afraid. Just seize the opportunity. I could knock him down. Ruan Kai never expected that this 12-year-old girl was so fast. She was instantly in front of him. Before he could react, Zhonglan immediately activated Tian Yuan, and then kicked him hard in the groin with her right foot. At the same time, Ruan Kai's heart-wrenching howl pierced the sky. Immediately afterward, he clutched his groin and crouched on the ground, trembling. The wind/skill was broken. Qiuran hurriedly cast healing wind on Jiang Tianxua. At this moment, Jiang Tianxua couldn't believe his eyes. Such a vulgar move. Definitely not taught in the Central Plains. Zhonglan was gloating at this moment. Suddenly, 2 dark figures appeared behind me. Before I could react, the Black Widow instantly used her binding skill, tying me up tightly with her silk. Then, she crossed her arms, and said in a sarcastic tone, "You just ignore me like that. Isn't that a bit too much?" The sudden attack terrified Zhonglan, but it seems the newcomer doesn't want to waste time. Super Soldier Li Mingji directly uses the same skill as Jiang Tianxua, magnetic force, stopping the arrogant shouts. "Submit to me, all of you." The boys are affected by 3 times the gravity. Jiang Tianxua and Qiuran instantly fall to the ground. Damn it! I didn't expect them to have magnetic force too. If I were in good condition, I could still fight him. But now, I'm seriously injured. I'm completely powerless to resist. Meanwhile, a phone rings from inside the golden coffin in the museum. Bro, wake up. The sun's shining on your butt. Get up and make me breakfast. My sister is tied up. Her obsessed fan wants to die. But Zhong Yuan is sleeping in a coffin. His phone rings. He wakes up as if from a dream. He picks it up and answers. The situation is bad. Hurry up and tell me where Zhong Yuan is. Zhonglan is tightly bound by the Black Widow at this moment, suspended in midair. So young, yet enduring such immense suffering. But even so, her gaze remains resolute. I won't tell you. My brother's here. Jiang Tianxua behind her is already teetering. My body is extremely weak. At this moment, I was being lifted by Li Mingji like a chick. I'm young. But my mouth is quite stubborn. If you don't talk, you'll get your bones broken. Then the Black Widow lightly raised her finger. The spider silk binding Zhonglan immediately straightened my finger. There was a click. Her joints were brutally bent at an impossible angle. Every fingertip throbbed with pain. The excruciating pain in her hand was agonizing for Zhonglan. Her face contorted in agony. Tears involuntarily streamed down her cheeks. The angle of her bent fingers continued to increase. Yet, she remained resolute. The Black Widow sneered, let's see how long you can last. Meanwhile, Li Mingji, behind him, watched Jiang Tianxua lying on the ground, barely alive but still struggling. He ordered the invisible man to deliver the final blow. Suddenly, Ruan Kaili stopped him. His goal this time was simply to retrieve the robus and call it a day. Then he would collect the bounty and retire to his hometown to enjoy his old age. But the situation was rapidly escalating. He was a little timid. He feared things would spiral out of control. He was even more afraid that they would be hunted down by China. But even if we let him go now, we'll still be hunted down by China. I heard that China just lost a Jiusu. They're in disarray. They probably won't have time to bother with us. Then we absolutely cannot make a big fuss about this. He listened to the people whispering. Only then did Jiang Tianxua understand that their goal this time was actually Central Plains. Then he staggered to his feet, supporting his still bleeding abdomen, doing his best to suppress the excruciating pain. He thought, Zhonglan is now in their hands. If Zhong Yuan finds out, he'll definitely be coerced by them. So no matter what, I have to rescue Zhonglan first. Then, I'll use all my strength and unleash 10 times the gravity with my magnetic power. I'll make sure we all die together. Under the effect of the skill, everyone fell to the ground. Seeing this, Li Mingji immediately activate the magnetic element force to counteract the gravity skill. A world-defying barrier instantly formed around him, firmly enveloping him. He never expected that Jiang Tianxua, already at death's door, still had the strength to resist. Suddenly, Jiang Tianxua spat out tomato juice again. The skill he just used had drained all his strength. Now, his whole body went limp. With a thud, he fell heavily to the ground. He was so unwilling. He hadn't even been able to see Zhong Yuan one last time. Was he really going to die like this? He struggled to raise his head. He found that not far from him, Zhong Yuan's phone was actually connected. So he slowly reached out, wanting to pick it up and tell Zhong Yuan what was happening here. It was so close. But now it felt 1,000 miles away. Finally, after his relentless efforts, his trembling hand was about to touch it. But suddenly, with a click, his phone was hit by a skill. The sound shattered. At the same time, Zhong Yuan, still in the endless space, listened to the last sound coming from his phone. He was frantic. Damn it. What the hell is this place? No boundaries. No exit. Even the abilities he absorbed from Tongshu Manager were completely ineffective. Could this be inside the golden coffin? He shouted loudly into the deathly silent space. Let me out. I want to get out. I have to go back to the academy to save my sister. At that moment, wisps of white smoke rose from the bed in the school's detention room. Immediately afterwards, a man slowly emerged from the bed like bamboo shoots after a spring rain, until his whole body appeared. He sat up abruptly. Terror-stricken, he cried out his sister's name. After regaining his composure, he realized he was in the school's detention room, somehow. His beloved sister was being cruelly tortured by a villain. Zhong Yuan, desperate with worry, was trapped in a boundless void. After a puff of white smoke, he was sent back to the school's detention room. Sitting before the door, I carefully considered. I meticulously studied strategies against the enemy. The target of this group of dangerous individuals is the virtual realm of Robus. Therefore, I surmised that they wouldn't kill Lan Lan before achieving their objective. The most important thing now is to find their location first. But even with the use of super senses, I couldn't sense them. After pondering for a moment, I suddenly remembered hearing the sound of pigeons on the phone. And at school, the only place with pigeons is the entrance to the cafeteria. He then silently crept over. Sure enough, he found Wan Kai and his group near the cafeteria, preparing to retreat. Jiang Tianxua and Qiu Ren were already lying on the ground, dead or unconscious. Suddenly, his pupils dilated. A wave of Zhong Lan's eyes were covered with a blindfold. Something was also stuffed into my mouth. But what hurt Zhong Yuan even more was that these people actually broke Lanlan's finger. At this moment, he could no longer suppress the rage in his heart. You know, even if his little sister scraped her skin, he would be heartbroken. These scum must die. He instantly threw 6 throwing knives into the crowd. Super Soldier Li Mingji was the first to notice something was wrong. He shouted, "No, someone's attacking." At the same time, he activated a magnetic source towards Zhong Yuan's position. His strength was neutralized, but Zhong Yuan, still radiating terrifying power, continued to advance. Li Mingji was stunned. Why is he still moving freely under 7G? Black Widow was the first to step forward. Then she grabbed her clothes tightly. She yelled for cover. Then, with a swish, she revealed her impressive bust to Zhong Yuan, launching a mental attack. He thought no man in the world could resist this. But unexpectedly, Zhong Yuan's face darkened. Completely unaffected, he continued forward. Without him knowing, the invisible man had already arrived behind him, leaping high. If Zhong Yuan faltered for even a moment, he could defeat him with one blow. Immediately, he swiftly swung his blade, piercing Zhong Yuan's back. The sharp blade pierced straight through Zhong Yuan's body, but unexpectedly, Zhong Yuan didn't fall. Before he could react, Zhong Yuan suddenly turned around, raised his hand, and with a swift stroke, immediately slit the invisible man's throat. The invisible man instantly collapsed in a pool of blood, severed head and body. But Zhong Yuan's cold expression didn't change in the slightest. He slowly reached behind his back, then he grabbed the hilt and pulled the sword out. But the place where he was stabbed didn't bleed a single drop. The Black Widow, seeing her lover dealt with by Zhong Yuan, finally realized the gravity of the situation. But he is powerless to change the situation. Instantly turning grief and anger into strength, he is determined to make the Central Plains pay the price. He launched an attack towards the Central Plains. You actually killed the invisible man. I'll kill you. The Central Plains sensed it. Immediately after the nitrification poison takes effect, the poisoner will neutralize the toxin. All abilities are boosted to 102% as a side effect. Watching Zhong Yuan closing in step by step, Black Widow felt utterly hopeless. What kind of monster is this? How could all control skills be ineffective against him? Zhong Yuan forcefully asked. You're the one who tortured my sister, aren't you? I will make you pay for your evil deeds. Immediately, he brandished the blade in his hand. He used and extended the same sword technique. 23 strikes per second. Countless sword energies, following his movements, directly slashed towards the Black Widow. The Black Widow had nowhere to hide. Her body was instantly sliced into countless pieces by the sword energy. Then, Zhong Yuan immediately turned and continued walking, without looking back. Because real men never look back at an explosion. Activated the super camouflage. Thinking that Zhong Yuan hadn't discovered them, Wan Kai panicked and urged Li Mingji to retreat immediately. But Li Mingji said that they now had hostages. Why retreat? Then he grabbed Zhong Lan, choking his neck and threatening Zhong Yuan. If you don't want to watch your sister die, then quietly drop your weapons and surrender. Don't put up any more pointless resistance. Never lightly touch a person's sore spot, because he doesn't accept surrender in any form. Li Mingji, gripping Zhong Lan's neck, threatened, if you don't want your sister to die right here, then quietly drop your weapons. Lanlan's expression showed increasing pain. Zhong Yuan quickly and obediently dropped the dagger in his hand. Then he raised both hands above his head. Weren't you very arrogant just now? Let's see what you can do now. But at this moment, Wan Kai felt uneasy. His own advanced camouflage was clearly trembling. But Zhong Yuan's stance clearly showed that he knew of their presence. This guy's abilities are definitely above both of theirs. A wise man doesn't fight a losing battle. Better to run away first. He turned around and started to retreat. But Li Mingji still hadn't realized the severity of the situation. He was still complacent. He raised his hand and launched his ultimate move, resource power tenfold gravity, at Zhong Yuan. Wan Kai couldn't help but mutter, I'm not afraid of godlike opponents, but I am afraid of pig-like teammates. Xia Yuanli was already ineffective against Zhong Yuan a moment ago. Now you want to use it again. That pig is looking for death. Don't drag yourself down with him. Saving your own life is the priority. Goodbye. Although Xia Yuanli is ineffective against Zhong Yuan himself, it will affect the accuracy of his throwing knives. And now, his sister is in his hands. So any attack must be a one-hit kill. Immediately, he used his legs to unleash an ice and snow storm. Instantly, all his abilities were boosted by 1200%. The surrounding temperature dropped instantly. Finally, Li Mingji felt something was wrong. Large beads of sweat kept rolling down his cheeks. But Zhong Yuan wouldn't give him a chance to react. He immediately unleashed a heat blast. Just a moment. Li Mingji, who was just showing off, vanished without a trace. Not even a speck remained. It was as if he had never existed. Zhong Yuan himself was startled by the skill's effect. When he used heat blast pressure against the poachers last time, he discovered that its effect was more than just extracting temperature from the air, as the description stated. Indeed, temperature is internal energy. When inner energy can be extracted by abilities beyond conventional physics, its essence will convert from mass to energy, and finally be extracted completely annihilated. Zhong Lan was affected by the ability wave. At the moment Li Mingji disappeared, he also rapidly leaped to the other side. The moment before he landed, Zhong Yuan flashed past and firmly caught him. Seeing this, Yuan Kai, who had only run a few steps, collapsed to the ground in fright. He trembled. It's terrifying. This guy definitely isn't as simple as the profile says, having only absorbed some low-level abilities. Such terrifying abilities. He was so scared he had no chance to escape. So he began to beg for mercy. I surrender, Zhong Yuan. I can provide Huaguo with. But before he could finish, Zhong Yuan didn't even look up, directly interrupting him. I don't accept any surrender. Let him die. Then he unleashed the eternal ice domain. The surrounding air instantly plummeted by tens of degrees. Everywhere it reached, thick layers of ice instantly formed. And the culprit behind this chaos, Yuan Kai, was forever frozen in terror. The next day, in a high-end apartment in Shangjing City, Feng Qin was reading intently in her room. Her sunglasses, which she never took off, were casually tossed on the table. Back home, she no longer needed to be troubled by her unusual eyes. Suddenly, the door was opened. Seeing this, he reprimanded her with a hint of complaint. How many times have I told you, even if you're my mother, please knock before entering. But his mother didn't care. Holding up her phone, she urged him to quickly look at the snowy field he often talked about. Zhong Yuan had completely wiped out the people, but he hadn't killed them. The null's flesh and skin have been completely stripped away. Through the ribs, you can clearly see the state of the tendril congealed in the heart. It's incredibly valuable for research. There's also another one frozen solid like an ice sculpture. It hasn't thawed yet. It's being packaged now. It will be sent to the Academy of Sciences shortly. When Yan's Feng Qin abruptly stood up from her seat, clutching her mother's shoulders tightly, she anxiously inquired about what had happened at school. His understanding of Central China. He wouldn't have done something harmful without reason. Her mother stated, the East China military region is currently discussing how to handle this matter. Feng Qin couldn't stay put anymore. She grabbed her sunglasses from the table and was about to return to school. Mother quickly stopped her. She said she was supposed to go shopping with her today. Is the junior more important? Or her own mother? Feng Qin said, the junior is more important. Upon hearing this, the mother began to use emotional appeals. You heartless little rascal. All that for 10 months of pregnancy, feeding you, changing your diapers. Feng Qin was speechless. She quickly interrupted herself, remembering she'd actually spent 2 years in a nutrient solution before being born. I didn't even have any bowel movements or urination. But no matter what, I am still your mother. If you're my real mother, don't hide it from me. What exactly does the military region plan to do with Zhong Yuan? I heard they might, perhaps, possibly apply for a second-class merit for him. Feng Qinwen was even more confused. What's going on? They reduced him to a skeleton. Faden won't be punished. And they're even going to apply for a commendation for his attack. Want the inside scoop, kid? Then be a good boy and accompany me shopping. A 16-year-old high school student single-handedly wiped out a dangerous organization. 2 days later, he thought the matter was settled. But unexpectedly, on the third day, Zhong Yuan was summoned for questioning. By the highest commander of the East China military region, no less. Sitting in his office at that moment, Qingling had already thought up various excuses. This whole thing started with the false alarm about Robs. If anyone asks, he'll just play dumb. About how he instantly teleported from the museum back to the academy, he should just answer evasively, or plead ignorance. Just then, the office door was pushed open. A middle-aged man in a gray Zhongshan suit, exuding an air of authority, entered. The atmosphere in the room instantly became solemn with his arrival. But unexpectedly, after the man approached Zhong Yuan, he unexpectedly bowed deeply to him. Hello, Comrade Zhong Yuan. I am Guanfeng, commander of the East China military region. Because of our negligence, I apologize for the threats you and your sister faced at the academy. On behalf of all the officers and soldiers of the military region, I offer my sincerest apologies. Zhong Yuan was startled. Then he remembered this person was the big shot who secretly helped him after he beat up Xiao Pakai. Immediately, he stood up. He also bowed deeply to Guanfeng. I should be the one apologizing. A few days ago, I failed to control my emotions. I severely injured the kimchi from Kimchi Land. I've caused you a lot of trouble. I am truly sorry. Seeing this, Guanfeng continued. This isn't Zhong Yuan's fault. And besides apologizing, he wants to apologize again. He thanked Zhong Yuan for saving his daughter in the Shenangjia area. I want to express my gratitude to him as a father. In principle, Cage also caused me a lot of unnecessary worry. So it's I who should be thanking him. This back and forth shocked even the assistant standing nearby. Since he entered the military district, I've never seen Guanfeng be so polite to anyone. And at the moment, the scene of the two bowing to each other, he even wished he could take a picture, to go down in history. After a long while, seeing that the two hadn't finished, he could only interrupt them, saying, why don't you two sit down and chat first? And Guanfeng then realized. So he asked his assistant, Xiao Qin, to guard the door. He wants to have a private conversation with Zhong Yuan. Without his instructions, no one is allowed to enter. Classmate Zhong Yuan, You don't need to be nervous. I invited you to the military district today, not for an investigation, nor to hold you accountable. I just want to have a simple chat with you about your abilities. The General Staff has analyzed videos of your battles. They've found a slight discrepancy between your actual abilities and your file. And the recent Academy incident has alarmed the Academy of Sciences. If they investigate, I won't be able to give a reasonable explanation. Then they might take you away directly. So, Zhong Yuan, have you already received the tenfold return ability of the Ghost King from those 1,000 plus ordinary Ghost King's happy shirts? Zhong Yuan thought at this moment. From what he just heard, that Guanfeng wasn't testing him, but directly telling him the truth, clarifying the stakes. He's so frank. This man is so honest, but he still tries to act dumb and fool everyone. His feelings are too narrow-minded. He originally worked hard to become stronger to defeat the alien race, and protect his younger sister, but blindly concealing his strength will only backfire. Now that the military district is willing to be sincere with him, there's no reason for him not to reveal his abilities truthfully. So he said to Nguanfen, actually, that ability isn't called 10x return, but I will retaliate. An eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth, and he mostly reports his abilities truthfully. It's just that he himself has long since surpassed the upper limit of ability level 8. I can upgrade my abilities by absorbing the same kind of baleen whales. In other words, as long as I have enough baleen whales, I can raise all the absorbed abilities to the top level, and gain new abilities. I upgraded my other abilities the same way, continuously absorbing the same type of baleen whale, leveling them up one by one. Also, I can. Before I could finish, Nguanfeng interrupted me. He excitedly grabbed my shoulders. Are you sure that as long as you're given enough baleen whales, you can upgrade all your current abilities to the top level? That's fantastic. It's a blessing for China. We finally have another top-tier expert, a stabilizing force. All these years, countries around the world have, to varying degrees, disclosed information about the virtual movement to the public. But Huagua alone has concealed all news detrimental to national stability. Even the virtual energy textbooks contain much fabricated content. One of Robuza's virtual incidents involves classified information. Therefore, it's not recorded. You can obtain intelligence about you in the United States. This is enough to suggest that a mole has infiltrated Huagua, but there's currently insufficient evidence to confirm who it is. Zhong Yuan understood his meaning in classical Chinese, so he said, Dr. 5 Ming. Or we could use him as bait, to lure out the inside man. And Guanfeng approved of this suggestion immediately. He readily agreed. Then, they told Zhong Yuan to go back and rest. They would inform him after making the necessary arrangements. As Zhong Yuan was getting up to leave, and Guanfeng hesitated, wanting to speak but stopping himself. Right, Zhong Yuan, there's one more thing. It's about your parents. Before he could finish, Zhong Yuan interrupted him. I already know about that. They already sacrificed themselves, didn't they? Then he left the office, and Guanfeng, sitting alone on the sofa, fell into deep thought. 10 years ago, a virtual disturbance appeared in the city of Shandong. Many ordinary citizens were harmed, including Guanfeng's parents. But the military district, to conceal the truth, has been sending living expenses to him and his sibling in his parents' names. But now it seems, this child already guessed the truth. There's nothing a strawberry cake can't solve. If there is, then have another one. Because his parents died young, Zhong Yuan, at a young age, shouldered the responsibility of taking care of his sister. At such a young age, he had to work everywhere to make a living, even his sister's birthday cake. It's a gift from the boss of the shop where I work. Zhong Lan looked at the single piece of cake on the table. She looked disappointed, saying, Brother, won't Dad and Mom be able to come home to celebrate my birthday with me this year again? And every time this happens, Zhong Yuan patiently explains to her, because Mom and Dad are very busy with work, so they don't have time to come back. But whatever the adults can do, he can do too. Wen Yin Zhonglan batted her big, watery eyes. Then, for my birthday next year, I want a big, round cake, with a whole circle of strawberries around it. At the hospital entrance, the headmaster told Zhong Yuan, his sister's physical wounds have completely healed, but the emotional scars may take more time to recover. Zhong Yuan understands his sister. He knows she will certainly get better on her own. He then carried a strawberry cake and walked into the ward. He saw her squatting on the bed, her head bowed very low. His heart was a mixture of emotions, but he still pretended to be calm. Lan, are you feeling better? Is there anywhere else that's uncomfortable? I specially bought your favorite strawberry cake. Do you want to eat it now or later? But Zhong Lan didn't look up. Brother, my wounds healed long ago, but now my heart feels heavy. So Zhong Yuan sat down by the bed, and let him pour out his doubts. I've read many comic books, but most of them are about good triumphing over evil. It seems childish, but I've always longed to be like the protagonist, protecting world peace, upholding justice. That's why I've always felt that the Gnolls are comrades in justice, fellow fighters against the clan. Gnolls shouldn't be killing each other, he said, tears involuntarily streaming down his face. Zhou Yuan gently wiped away his tears with a tissue. comforting him that different people have different understandings of justice. When different justices are incompatible, conflicts arise between people, and they become enemies. So what is Lanlan's idea of justice? Unexpectedly, Zhonglan said, his idea of justice is strawberry cake. At these words, Zhong Yuan was both amused and exasperated. Zhonglan continued, the person who makes the cake. The technology that creates ingredients. A peaceful world where I can open a cake shop. The strawberry cake and everything behind it. All of it is proof in my heart. But, I'm still too weak. I don't even have the ability to protect the strawberry cake. Zhou Yuan gently brushed her long hair over her shoulder. Because our Lanlan is still young, before you grow up, let your older brother temporarily protect your strawberry cake for you. Lanlan just needs to, like when you were little, wait for your brother to bring the cake back. But Zhong Lanwan's face was full of disappointment. But I will grow up eventually. As long as my brother is here, Lanlan can stay a child for as long as she wants. Even if she never grows up, it's okay. Brother will always be there to protect Lanlan. Zhonglan touched the pigtails her brother had tied for her. Her mood instantly improved a lot. In that case, I'll stay a child a little longer. Until I have the ability to protect the strawberry cake myself. Then he suddenly remembered. That's right, brother. There's a strawberry cake companion next door. I wonder if he's feeling better. Should we go see him? So they came to Jiang Tiansuo's ward. Seeing the Zhong Yuan siblings arrive, Jiang Tiansuo quickly sat up from the bed. Zhong Yuan thanked him for saving his sister, a little embarrassed. He also apologized for almost beating him to death at Hualin Academy. But Jiang Tiansuo was overjoyed inside. He hadn't expected Zhong Yuan to come visit him personally, and to apologize. He quickly said that it was all his fault. Let's let bygones be bygones. Then he reached out to shake Zhong Yuan's hand. So, are we friends now? Of course, but let's be clear. Since we're friends, don't ever mention anything about poaching again. Zhong Yuan then went to the cake, cut a large piece, and handed it to Jiang Tiansuo. Lanlan said that he could share his strawberry cake with you. Who would have thought? Zhong Yuan, just by defeating Wan Kai's gang who attacked the school, immediately jumped to second place on the youth ranking. The old fox is really crude and brutal. In this way, your Xianming title is instantly famous. But Zhong Yuan didn't care. He said it was all superficial stuff. Fortunately, they still awarded him the Class 3 Qiming Medal, second-class merit, and the rank of Major. Also, 2 of the gang who attacked the school were internationally wanted criminals. They also gave out the large reward. Oh, speaking of which, the people at the museum almost blew up my home phone that day. They said that you never came out after entering the exhibition hall. You disappeared without a trace. It's a good thing I explained to them that those with abilities are inherently elusive. No need to make a fuss. That's how I managed to deceive them. But lately, you haven't been sleeping in the warehouse dorm every day. You keep running to the confinement room. Could it be that you've developed a dependence on confinement? Is it only in dark, cramped spaces that you can sleep? Zhong Yuan thinks it's possibly, perhaps, maybe, the case. Sure enough, you only feel at ease when you're in a closed, black, rectangular box. Then he even said he could custom make a special box just for him. He asked Zhong Yuan what style he liked. Ideally, it should be slightly modified based on the shape of a golden crown. The lid should be made of a material that can be opened. If it's pure gold, it's too expensive. And it's not resistant to bumps and knocks. It's better to use an alloy. Feng Qingyang said, these are all minor issues. Do you want a flip phone or a slider phone? After careful consideration, Zhong Yuan still thinks a flip phone is more practical. No problem. I'll have it made and delivered to you in a few days. In the cafeteria, Shangguan said while eating. It's a good thing Feng Qin hasn't been at school lately. I successfully dodged a bullet. That day, someone was handing out expired milk tea for free by the cafeteria. Everyone who drank it got poisoned. They all ran to the toilet to relieve themselves. Then, misfortune struck again. I don't know what idiot froze all the school's sewers. The toilet door opened, and it was like walking into a treasure trove. His words instantly took Zhonglan's appetite away. Zhong Yuan felt a pang of guilt, because the jerk who froze the sewer was him. Feng Qin couldn't listen anymore. She quickly spoke up to stop Wen Yan. Shangguan Yi then realized his mistake. He awkwardly scratched the back of his head. Then he changed the subject. Let's talk about how I was suspected of having questionable sexual orientation because of my maid outfit photos. His family, fearing he'd be alone, actually arranged 3 blind dates for him overnight. Feng Qin wondered, didn't he already have a childhood sweetheart? Wasn't she good enough? But Shangguan Yi said his family felt they weren't a good match. That makes sense. After all, Jian Ro is so beautiful, with good grades and a great figure. Standing next to him is like a flower next to a dog's head. Zhong Lanwen looked confused. A big butt, is that actually an advantage? Of course it is. Medically speaking, the wider the pelvis, the easier childbirth is. That's why the ancients said that a big butt means easy childbirth. Zhong Yuan hurriedly stopped him. Tell him not to corrupt his sister. But Feng Qin continued to talk incessantly about us, the virtuals. We could face disaster at any moment. So when you meet someone you like, don't hesitate. Get married early and have children early. You can also add to the country's workforce. Suddenly, the air became strangely quiet. He sensed something was wrong. But it may be too late. The next second, Central Plains welcomed a violent storm. The next day, on the school playground, the students stood neatly in 2 rows. Instructor Lu Wen spoke, "From today onwards, we will conduct bi-weekly practical training. Specific content includes martial arts cultivation, physical training, and spiritual meditation." Then he pointed to several people behind him. Today's training. The military region sent several active-duty energy cultivation experts to provide instruction. Zhong Yuan then discovered that among the specially dispatched personnel were 2 familiar faces. Zhonglan, upon discovering the instructors, felt somewhat uneasy. Why were the instructors for this practical training Uncle Lin? And, if one day you were abandoned by the person you trusted most, what would that feel like? On the training ground of Chengying Academy, the students stood neatly in 2 rows. Next, they will undergo 2 weeks of practical training. The instructors for this training are 4 psionics from the East China military region. They are Lin Dongliang, the command-type psionic from the Nightingale Squad, Zhan Hong, the attack-type psionic from the War God Squad, Xiang Chong, the defense-type psionic from the Classic Squad, and Mu Hong, the support/medical-type psionic from the Godwood Squad. After brief self-introductions, the instructors began freely selecting the students they would mentor. But Lin Dongliang retreated to the back of the line. He recalled what happened 2 days ago. That day, and Guanfeng called him to the military district office. They sat facing each other on the sofa. The atmosphere was unusually serious. When the attack happened at Kobayashi-sei Academy, you were the first person Zhongnan called for help. You cut off his resources, but he didn't cut off his trust in you. Lin Dongliang finally realized this. That day, he actually hung up Zhonglan's emergency call, almost causing a huge disaster. What a resourceful child. In a critical moment, he could still calmly judge the situation and call for help from the military region. But you denied him because of his only 2 abilities. Your mind is a little narrow. Lin Dongliang suddenly stood up from the sofa. He regretted his previous recklessness. And Guanfeng saw his repentance. He immediately said there was a good opportunity for him to repair his relationship with the Zhongyuan siblings. That is, to provide one-on-one guidance for their practical training. He hoped he would seize this opportunity. On the playground, Lin Dongliang walked up to the Zhongyuan siblings. He said he would personally be in charge of their training. But Zhonglan was tightly gripping her brother's arm. She looked like she was about to cry. Zhongyuan felt even more heartache at the sight. My sister hasn't been in this state for years. To be abandoned by someone she trusted. That feeling triggered a very strong stress response in her. Zhongyuan spoke righteously to Lin Dongliang in front of him, saying, "Instructor Lin, you're not suitable to guide us. Let's have someone else do it. Zhongyuan, please don't bring your personal emotions into the classroom. Although I'm a commander of Psi users, commanding a layman like you is still more than enough for me." As soon as these words left his mouth, Zhang Hong, standing behind him, became uneasy. He had witnessed the terror of the Central Plains in the Shenangjia border region. If he's still considered a layman, then no one here is an expert.